There I am. Hi. I've got you.
Good morning from the world's most famous arena, everybody. We are at Madison Square Garden, where 144 days from right now, we'll be back here to decide who the Big East Tournament champion is. Welcome to 2022 Big East Men's Basketball Media Day. I'm your host, John Fanta, and over the next couple of hours, we'll hear from all the coaches. We'll hear from star players. And we've got a jam-packed panel of guys who have been studying the conference. While you were barbecuing in July, they were researching things on Big East basketball. Vin Parisi, Tyree Turner is with me. And 6 NCAA tournament teams last year in the Big East Conference. A successful season for the league. Vin, what is your headline heading into Media Day?
Well, besides building off that success, John, you're talking about 4 of the 11 teams have new leadership at the head coaching position. We're not just talking new head coaches, we're talking some of the most successful and popular names in all of college basketball.
And in that vein, the elder statesmen of the Big East are now Ed Cooley at Providence, Naismith Coach of the Year, Big East Coach of the Year, and then Greg McDermott, who has a big-time, fully loaded Creighton team. Looking forward to both of those teams being near the top of the conference.
The Blue Jays picked first in the Big East preseason poll for the first time in program history. We'll visit with Greg McDermott a little later. Let's welcome in the 4th member of our team, Megan Caffrey.
Thanks so much, John. Well, I am revved up because today not only am I going to bring you some one-on-ones with coaches and players, but there's also so much that goes on behind the scenes here at Media Day, and I can't wait to give you all a sneak peek into what's happening. John.
Thanks so much, Megan. Now let's head to the podium for a COSIDA Hall of Famer to tip off the day. He is the Senior Associate Commissioner, Media Relations at the Big East, John Paquette.
Good morning. Welcome everyone to Big East Basketball Media Day. It's great to be back in our home, Madison Square Garden. We have a terrific media turnout today, and we appreciate your interest. I'm John Paquette of the Big East staff. If there's anything any of us can do for you today, please let us know. Operationally, we're similar to where we were the last few years. This is our area for team tables. They're on the side here and in the back. That's where print and radio media will be. Television crews will be in the Delta Club like last year. We have 3 interview sessions with teams rotating through the television areas. Lunch will be served at the Expo Center, which, if you've been to the tournament here, is through that tunnel and to the left. And our Women's Media Day activities will start at 12:30 this afternoon. For wireless, use the free MSG network. There is no password. And so for some opening remarks, our Commissioner, Val Ackerman. Val.
Thank you so much, John. There we go. Good morning, everybody. And I, too, want to welcome you to the 2022 edition of Big East Basketball Media Day. I want to start off, first of all, by thanking very much all of the print and electronic journalists who are here with us today in the building for not only being here, but for all your coverage of the conference, especially those of you who have been on the Big East beat for a very long time. I can tell you we truly value the relationships that we have with each and every one of you, and as John noted, we're at your service today and will remain so throughout the season. My remarks and then this day-long show that follows will be coming to viewers at home as part of a special edition of our Shootaround show on the Big East Digital Network, hosted over to my right here by the inimitable John Fanta. So John, thanks very much to you for what you're going to be doing for us throughout the day. We're very glad to be here in person at the world's most famous arena. And as always, we at the conference truly welcome this day because it signals the start of what we know will be another very memorable year of competition for our men's and our women's basketball programs. It's worth looking back for a minute here. What a finish we had last year, capped off by teams playing in both Final Fours, Villanova, of course, on the men's side, and UConn, who competed in their 12th national title game on the women's. We saw Providence reach their first men's Sweet 16 in 25 years under Coach Cooley's leadership. Creighton, UConn, Marquette, and Seton Hall all earned NCAA men's bids, and Xavier, of course, brought home the championship in the NIT on this very floor. We also saw the end of an era with Jay Wright's retirement announcement in April. Jay, if you're watching today, we want to congratulate you again on an amazing run with the Cats, and thank you for your innumerable contributions to the Big East in college basketball. You're a legend, and you're always going to be part of the Big East family. Fast forward, and here we are now with the 10th season of what I call sometimes the new Big East upon us. I think a lot about the first few years after this group of schools came together back in 2013, and the effort that it took on the part of many of the folks here today to build on the Big East's history, a history we're really proud of, and to try to rebuild a modern identity as a basketball-focused conference ready and able to compete for national championships in our marquee sport. I can tell you that every one of our schools remains fully invested and committed to the game of basketball, and we work tirelessly and collaboratively to continue to distinguish ourselves from other conferences. We use words like family and culture and authenticity a lot in our league, and we know it's going to require a mindset built around those themes if we're going to successfully navigate the opportunities and the challenges that are presented by the college sports landscape of today. Speaking of family, our thoughts and prayers are with Big East legend Dikembe Mutombo and his family as he confronts his recently announced health challenge. As all of you know, a big part of our identity revolves around being here at the Garden. And so I want to thank Joel Fisher, Executive Vice President, Marquee Events at MSG, and his outstanding team, led by Sal Frederico and Larry Torres, for the hospitality today. Joel, we know it's a busy time of year, so thanks for letting us be here. And more than that, for our long-standing working relationship as we look ahead to the 41st edition of the Big East Tournament starting on March 8 of next year. We believe the Big East Tournament at Madison Square Garden is the best event of its kind in college basketball, and we hope to be here for many, many years to come. We're also happy that Jeep, which has served for the past 8 years as the presenting sponsor of all 22 Big East championships, will be returning in 2023 in the second year of a 3-year renewal of our partnership. So we're grateful to them as well for their continuing support of this event, our women's tournament at Mohegan Sun Arena, and all of our athletes, coaches, and programs throughout the year. We have some very distinguished newcomers to the conference this year, and so I want to publicly welcome our men's basketball head coaches who have joined us since last season. They are Thad Matta at Butler, Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall, Kyle Neptune at Villanova, and Shawn Miller at Xavier. What a group. The reputations of these leaders speak for themselves, so I don't think I need to detail everything they've done, other than to note the cool fact that all 4 were previously associated with the programs they're now leading, so it's great to have them all back home. They join an outstanding fraternity, and we know they'll only elevate the already high caliber of play in the league. I also want to welcome to the conference Austin Parkinson, who was named this past spring as the new head women's basketball coach at Butler following a successful run at IUPUI. I want to commend the ADs from our 11 schools, all of whom are here today, for everything that they do to support their athletes and the traditions and the values of the Big East in their schools. We send up a special thanks for heavy lifting to Barry Collier, who serves on the NCAA Men's Basketball Committee, Mark Jackson, our representative on the NCAA Council, Greg Christopher, who's part of the NCAA's Transformation Committee, and Ed Cooley, last year's Naismith Coach of the Year, who was recently appointed as a head coach representative to the Men's Basketball Oversight Committee. We're deep into our fall sports season, which encompasses 6 sports. We have men's and women's soccer, men's and women's cross country, volleyball, and field hockey. Our Big East Executive Associate Commissioner, Chris Schneider, who I want to acknowledge, who provides outstanding leadership of our Olympic sport effort. We expect some very strong NCAA postseason fall sport runs by our schools in the coming weeks. Back to men's basketball, I'm grateful every day for Stu Jackson, Executive Associate Commissioner for Men's Basketball, for his leadership at the conference office, and to John Cowell for managing our best-in-class officiating program, which remains part of a now 11-conference consortium led by ourselves and the ACC. They're both here to take your questions today. So here's some highlights as we head into this season. We're continuing our non-conference scheduling challenges with the Big Ten and the Big 12 in November and December, respectively. The Gavitt Games will go through next year and hopefully beyond that, and the Big 12 battle will run through the fall of 2024, with future years there also to be determined. Conference play starts with a game on December 7th and then in earnest on December 16th. We couldn't be prouder about our relationship with Fox Sports, now in its 10th year. I want to recognize and profusely thank Executive Vice President and Sports Business Journal champion Larry Jones, who's joined here today by others from his team, Derek Crocker, Jordy Wimmer, Jordan Bazan, I think Bill Raftery, I'm not sure if Bill's here, but in any event, they're all great colleagues who provide great camaraderie and exceptional support to the conference and our schools. This year's men's basketball schedule will again feature wall-to-wall coverage on the Fox family of linear networks, including nearly 170 men's basketball games on Fox and Fox Sports 1, with another 22 games total on CBS and the CBS Sports Network. We want to acknowledge our CBS colleagues for their efforts on our behalf. I believe Dan Weinberg, Bess Barnes, and Mariel Brady are here as well, and for the outstanding job they do bringing March Madness to the masses every spring. Fox will get us started this year by providing live look-in coverage on opening night, that's November 7th, of 8 non-conference contests with full coverage of all of those games on the Fox Sports app. The Fox Broadcast Network will air 20 regular season Big East games with 2 more on CBS, and that puts us near or at the top of college basketball in the number of annual over-the-air basketball exposures for our programs. FS1 will again carry complete coverage of the Big East tournament here in March, and the championship game on Saturday, March 11th will again air on the Fox Broadcast Network. We'll be continuing with our annual commercial-free all-access games on both the men's and women's sides during conference play. Details about that will be announced at a later date. Finally, Steve Rabb from SNY is here today, and we want to thank him for his long-standing support of UConn and women's basketball. The list of complex issues before the college sports world is it's truly head-spinning. Name, image, and likeness, the loosening of transfer restrictions, heightened scrutiny around gender equity, the return of conference realignment, and potential changes in the NCAA's governance structure following the appointment last year of the Division I Transformation Committee are sort of all around us. I do not have a crystal ball on what our industry will look like in a year or in 5 years or further on down the road, but I would offer up a couple of thoughts. The first is that college sports at their core really are about sports in the context of education and need to remain that way. Sports are one of the most effective ways in our society to develop young men and women into responsible adults who will become the leaders of tomorrow. That was my experience 41 years ago as a college basketball player, thanks to Title IX. And I and many other women and men are who we are because they were part of college teams. I truly hope that storyline doesn't get overshadowed or lost as other topics grab the headlines. Number 2, while the Big East fully supports the opportunities that have become available to our athletes to exploit their name, image, and likeness, and a number of our basketball players and other athletes have in fact done just that, we believe the system would benefit from a national standard that preempts the patchwork of state laws now in effect and clarifies the application of the antitrust and labor laws to college sports programs. We're very grateful to for the efforts of the Transformation Committee, with our colleague Greg Christopher involved with that, to get at some of these very tough issues, but it seems unlikely to us that the needed clarifications could take place at this point without some level of congressional intervention. And finally, we're glad to see new ideas being floated that seem designed to make sure that college basketball remains strong, relevant, and exciting in the years to come. Many of these ideas, like summer league play and tournament expansion, are intriguing. All of them have complexities that need to be thoroughly vetted. While football in this country is a force, basketball is actually the connective tissue that binds all schools. And so we plan to work with our colleagues across Division I in the coming months and beyond to make sure that basketball, both men's and women's, has its own growth and management strategies apart from football, and that the sport continues to thrive irregardless of whatever governance, membership, and legal changes come our way. Creighton President Father Daniel Hendrickson is now serving as the Big East Board Chair, and I want to acknowledge his guidance as the Big East endeavors to stay nimble, creative, and innovative in dealing with this shifting terrain. And we continue to responsibly serve the interests of the more than 4,100 athletes on 200 teams who now participate in the Big East across our 22 sports. I also want to thank Georgetown President Jack DeGioia, who serves on the NCAA Board of Governors, for all of his efforts in managing an unprecedented sequence of developments in the college sports world over the past few years. Finally, I want to note our commitment to doing our part to combat social and racial injustice and the steps we've taken over the past year in furtherance of this goal. We're going to be continuing with our Be the Change advocacy platform this year, which brings together stakeholders within the conference in an effort to fight prejudice and build more welcoming environments on our campuses. You're going to see that slogan, Be the Change, stitched onto all Big East uniforms, including in basketball, again this year. We were excited to announce last month that Bob Driscoll, who retired as the AD at Providence College in June, was the second winner of the John Thompson Jr. Award, which we established 2 years ago to recognize annually significant efforts within the conference to combat prejudice and discrimination and advance positive social change. I know this award was especially meaningful to Bob because of Coach Thompson's connection to Friartown, and we commend Bob for his leadership in carrying forward Coach's legacy. Finally, we plan to continue our promotion during Black History Month to honor the Black Fives, which were teams of men's and women's players that barnstormed the country between 1904 and 1950 prior to the integration of the NBA that year, opening the door for legions of African American players that would follow them. Claude Johnson, founder of the Black Fives Foundation, has led the effort to tell the story of these trailblazers, and we want to thank him for letting us help raise awareness about this important chapter in basketball history. And then finally, John, if you don't mind, I want to just close by commending our players. I know many are here today for the way that you represent our schools, the conference, and yourselves on the court and on your campuses. We are so proud to have all of you in the Big East, and we wish you all the best this season and beyond. We hope to see everybody here during the season, and thanks again for joining us here today. Go Big East. John?
So there she is, the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer. Val Ackerman. Just addressing everyone, and we welcome in Fox College Hoops analyst Donnie Marshall, a Connecticut great, and it is Adama Sanogo, a UConn Husky who is the Big East preseason player of the year. Your reaction?
First of all, my reaction to you guys being overdressed. That is
it was Fanta's call.
Yeah, that's the first reaction that I have. But it's interesting when you go from not being picked the previous season at all. No one really even put you on the map to now being player of the year. And obviously a lot has to happen, but we always say you have to prove that. But the reason you're there is because he has proven that a little bit. If you think about what he did last season, obviously when the coaches talk you up, my coach never talked me up, but when your coaches talk you up, you start to buy in, you start to believe it. But when you stand next to him, and I had a chance to talk to him earlier, you realize that you didn't think Adonis could sculpt his body anymore, but he has done that.
You know, Donnie, you've been so close to so many great UConn bigs over the years, even post-playing career. Was there anybody he reminded you of when he came into town, or maybe even as he started to develop last year?
You know, I think obviously because of their stature, their size, and a little bit of their position, Emeka Okafor is the guy that really stands out because when he got to UConn, he was a pretty good player, could shoot it okay, worked on his free throw shooting, worked on his body, and then became a walking double-double. Yeah. Now, it's a different game. We know that today, so Sanogo now is stepping out a little bit. It's going to be tough for Danny, though. I told him when you're trying to run that 4 out, 1 in, but you're consistently talking about your big guy shooting threes, how do you balance that? But that's the one thing Emeka did not do, and I think Sanogo, we're going to be really surprised at the advancements he's made this year.
Well, let's take a look at who we've got coming up here on the show. We have a full cast of characters around the Big East. Donnie, we will see you in just a little bit.
All right, I'll be back.
With traffic and weather together from the desk. We've got Adama Sanogo coming up in just a few moments. You'll hear from UConn's Dan Hurley. A little bit later, Ed Cooley and Greg McDermott will join us together on set. Patrick Ewing, the Hall of Famer, included as well. And we'll hear from Shaheen Holloway, Mike Anderson, Shawn Miller to cap off the day, as well as one-on-one with Val Ackerman. For now, let's welcome in the Big East Conference preseason player of the year, the junior Adama Sanogo. Adama, your microphone is right here. His Suki.
A lot. Some better tailors have moved into stores, Connecticut.
They're looking good, looking sharp.
Appreciate it.
So what does it mean to see your name as preseason player of the year in the Big East Conference?
Yeah, man, I'm so happy right now. You know, with all these players, like if you think about it, there's a lot of great players in the Big East. So if they honor me to be a Big East preseason of the year, I'm very happy. I want to thank all the coaches in the Big East that vote for me, and I want to also thank my team, my teammates, my UConn coaches, like that support me. You know, it's an honor to be a Big East preseason of the year. You know.
Adama, what was the main thing that was on your mind when you woke up every single day this summer, this off season? Did you have something that consumed you psychologically or mentally?
Yeah. So this summer, like every day, you know, I'm thinking about like, okay, I'm coming back for another year. I gotta be the best player in the Big East. You know, that's my mentality every day going to practice. You know, like that was one thing I really like trying to like have in my mind every day. Like every day, have the same mindset. Be like, I'm going to be the best player in the Big East. Yeah, that was my mentality this summer. Yeah.
What are some things you kind of honed in this summer on trying to bring back to your game, or bring to this team this season that you didn't have last year?
A lot of things, you know, like a lot of things. Right now, one thing that I really want to do, like this year, is like be able to like face up on a post, you know, be able to work on my shot a little bit, and be able to like switch the ball screen. I'm working on switching the ball screen a lot because most of the team we're gonna play, most of them are gonna play 5 hours, so I have to be able to like switch ball screen. So that's one thing I really work on this summer. Yeah, that's one thing I work on this summer.
Looking at your team,
right?
Last year you guys had it going.
We did.
Into March.
Yeah.
We all know the way that last year ended.
It was bad. Yeah.
How much does that serve us fuel?
Good, because if you think about it, last 2 years we lost our first game of March Madness, you know. So this year we come in like with more expectation because we know like we can't do that again. You know what I mean? Because we can't do that again. So that's why this year we're gonna like there's a lot of mistakes we did last 2 years. We can't do those mistakes again. That's why right now we watch a lot of film. Like we watch a lot of film, so to make sure we don't do the same mistake we did last 2 years. Yeah.
Now, this is going to come off as a compliment, but we all know that Coach Hurley could be crazy in a good way,
right.
In a good way,
when it comes to energy and enthusiasm. What did he stress the most this offseason, coming off that loss that John talked about in March, leading up to now?
Right, so it was like, because he's a winner, you want to win. So, like, getting out like that in the match, like in your first game, match madness, like, it's painful, you know what I mean? It was like, it's painful. So, it was not good, but I mean, it's a pass. So now we have to, like, we have to, like, it wasn't mad about it, but now we just have to, like, pass it, like, let it pass, Yeah, let it pass, yeah.
Donnie was just telling us that you and Emeka Okafor have similarities.
Right.
And I know Emeka's been around.
Yeah, he's been around in campus. Yeah.
What's your relationship with him like?
Actually good, we share contact, so I'll be talking to him, if I have anything, like, let's have an example, like I have a question, like I text him, to say ask him like what he think. He talked to me about like, oh, I think he should. You know what I mean? It's always good. Like it's always good to talk to somebody like that. One of like best player in the big in the Big East. So like it's always good to like talk to people like that and people that can advise you like that. So it's always good. Yeah, it's a good. Love talking to him. Yeah.
Adama Sanogo, the Big East preseason player of the year, and wearing an incredible blue to set the tone for Media Day. We appreciate you.
Thanks, my man.
Let's send it over to Megan Caffrey. She's with DePaul's second-year head coach, Tony Stubblefield.
Thanks so much, John. Coach, we were chatting a little bit before. You're a little hoarse today. You've been yelling a lot in practices. How have early practices been going for you and your squad?
I tell you what, our guys have been doing a great job. It's been a carryover from the summer. Been having great leadership from Nick Agenda, Mo Gibson, Eral Penn. So I'm really excited with where we're at this point. And again, I think our guys have been doing a tremendous job up to this point.
How have those leaders taken a step forward this season?
I think just being a little bit more vocal from their experience, whether it's guys that have come in as fifth-year guys as transfers, whether it's guys that were part of the program last year, but just understanding the system, being more of an extension of the coach out there on the floor.
When you look at how your team did end last year, being able to string together some wins, what do you really want to take and build off of into this season?
I think we got to have some carryover, continue to build the culture that we're trying to build at DePaul. I wish it would have ended on more of a positive note here in the Big East tournament, but I do think we have some things to build off of. I think it's going in the right direction. I just think we got to continue to get better and better and keep taking it a step at a time.
Coach, when you say building that culture, what is the culture that you're working to build at DePaul?
Just a team-first mentality, of playing as hard as you can every time you step out there on that floor, making plays for one another, being an unselfish player, and just being all about the team. The more success you have as a team, the more success you will have individually. So just building that right culture and that right mindset to get this program back to the top.
When you've had now a moment to reflect for yourself as your first year last season at DePaul, how did that season go for you?
There were some ups and downs. It's a learning experience, being an assistant for 28 years and sliding one seat over on that bench is definitely an adjustment. Coming to a great league like the Big East where you have great teams, great coaches, it's definitely a learning experience, but you just got to continue to keep getting better year in and year out and developing on your craft.
What was the biggest learning that you had from last season?
Wow, I don't know necessarily if it's one thing that was the biggest learning adjustment. I think there's a lot that goes into being the head coach from a time management standpoint, developing your team, recruiting, and all the things that it goes into to build a program.
Coach, thank you so much. Best of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
John?
Well, thank you so much, Megan. Back here at the desk, he is Vin Parisi. He is Tyreek Turner. DePaul, a team that last year was close. We had them a couple of times, so many occurrences where they could have broken through. They bring in Umoja Gibson. They bring in another transfer, Caleb Murphy. It'll be interesting to see what Tony Stubblefield does in year two.
Well, and moving parts from a roster standpoint, I think is going to be a theme throughout the league, whether you want to talk about the top half or the bottom half. What I'm impressed with, though, is how hard Tony got those kids to play last year. And I think Tariq will be the first to tell you, you gotta have that foundation as to how we're going to play each and every day when you come out, especially when conference play rolls around.
Yeah, and when you come in as a new coach and a new team, a new environment, as Tony did, it takes time, and we know that. And people get tired of hearing the cliche, it takes time. But in the first year, I think he's established a blueprint of how they want to play, the culture, the identity, hard-nosed, not backing down. And now they're trying to get to year two. They have the big guy, Nick Agenda, who's going to give you something. He can rim protect, he can run the floor, and I think they have something to build with there. They lose David Jones, but they have to really depend on Agenda to really be the next guy to step up.
So Stubblefield in year two, rarely do you see in a league that only has 11 programs have 6 in the NCAA tournament. Meanwhile, they have 4 head coaching changes, 4 new head coaches in the Big East. So let's take a look around the league here at some of these new faces, but they're really not all that new. We recognize this face.
Oh, it's the best. Shaheen Holloway, my local, my former assistant coach roommate on the road from the Iona days. I promise I won't make too many jokes about that when he comes on, but obviously the face of March Madness and that miraculous Cinderella run that he went on with St. Peter's, and great to have him back at Seton Hall.
I mean, Shaheen, what work when we started? I played against him in high school and in college when he was at Seton Hall and I was at St. John's, and now to see his growth from an assistant coach to a top-level, high-level coach at St. Peter's, and now at Seton Hall, he's going to make a beautiful transition. He's going to play the same style, hard-nosed, not backing down. He's going to recruit the Jersey area very well, and I look for him to do very well this year.
Defense and rebounding a given with the Pirates. Will they be able to score enough? Meanwhile, Kyle Neptune, who was part of 2 national championship teams with Villanova on Jay Wright's bench. Now he is the head man for the Wildcats.
Well, Nep is just the kind of guy, everyone knows what he brings. He's a guy that is a student of the game. He's paid his dues. He has really started his head coaching job last year at Fordham, did a fantastic job, most wins in Fordham history in the last 16 years. And now he gets the big job. He takes Jay Wright's shoes to fill. It's a big opportunity for him. So far in the preseason, from what I've heard watching him in practice, he's got the respect of his team. He's calm, he's collected, he's carrying over that culture that Jay Wright has built, but he's doing it in his way, and that's really important.
Yeah, just a meteoric rise. I mean, to think that Kyle, less than 10 years ago, was an assistant at Niagara is remarkable, and it's never easy. We're seeing it with Shire at Duke. It's not easy replacing a legend, but kudos to Villanova for keeping it in the family.
So you go beyond those two and you say, well, who else is new in the league? Well, Thad Matta and Shawn Miller, both of them have a 74% winning percentage in their coaching careers. Matta with 439 victories. Thad is back in college basketball after a 5-year absence. What do you make of Butler bringing in Coach Matta?
Well, I think there's some crazy stat like between Thad and Shawn Miller, the two of them, you have 8 Elite 8 appearances and 2 Final Fours. But listen, you have an unbelievable successful veteran trying to get stability back to Butler, a national name, and then obviously there's no better fit than Shawn Miller returning to Cincinnati as well.
And Shawn has Big East roots. He's a local guy, a Northeast guy, I should say, from Pittsburgh. And he played at Pitt, so he knows the history of the conference. Went from a really good player, coach's son, to a college coach, high-level coach, has won over 70% of his games. He goes back to a place he's familiar, Xavier, and had high level of success. He inherits a team with a lot of firepower, a lot of senior-laden leadership, and I think he's going to come in and really implant his own philosophy and really kind of carry over what he did at Arizona here in the Big East.
And I want to jump in with one thing, because one thing that this new look, so-called Big East, even though it's only a decade, as Val Ackerman was saying before, has been known for is stability from the head coaching position and leadership. And I was just talking with Shawn Miller a few minutes ago before we came on air, and he was talking about how his wife, his kids are out of the house, they're renting, and they're going to build these next year or two there in Cincinnati. And he clearly said, listen, this is my last stop.
Yeah.
So he wants to have that type of Jay Wright run at Villanova, a long time coming, and he wants to end his coaching career at Xavier.
It's going to be interesting to see how that all plays out. Well, we have a new desk here at Madison Square Garden for our Media Day show, and we have a new addition to our team. This year, we're going to have some special features for you, and you do not want to miss this one because I cracked up a couple times watching it. Welcome to the family, Sam Oppenheim. Here's a look at the new Big East coaches.
Hi everybody, I'm Sam Oppenheim, and welcome to the first installment of Be Good. A new series means a new start, and for the first time since 2011, Big East men's basketball sees 4 new coaches join the conference. And with Halloween right around the corner, you might be asking yourself, if I were to dress up as a first-year Big East head coach, what would I wear? Well, I've solved the Halloween mystery, or should I say, Halloween. Because Shaheen Holloway's a pirate, and he's trying to commit piracy by replicating the success he had at St. Peter's. Unless you were living under the world's largest rock, you know the 15-seeded Peacocks went on arguably the greatest Cinderella run in tournament history. The Peacocks advanced to the Elite 8 and became the first team seeded 13 or lower to do so. Shaheen the Pirate can also steal from his postseason success as a player at Seton Hall. The 4-year starting guard played a key role in the Pirates reaching the Sweet 16 in his senior year. In fact, that 2000 tournament run is the last time the school reached the Sweet 16. After Kevin Willard jumped ship to Maryland, Seton Hall was left with a pretty obvious choice. Oh, and don't forget he was a Pirates assistant for 8 seasons under Willard. Can Shaheen find the buried treasure to bring Seton Hall back to the top of the conference, or will he have to walk the plank?
Villanova fans, do you read me? We have reached Neptune. Over.
Yes, Kyle Neptune takes over at Villanova following Jay Wright's shocking retirement. The Wildcats had just reached the Final Four for the 3rd time since 2016. And in his 20-plus years at Nova, Wright became the 3rd winningest coach in Big East history behind Jim 1 and Jim 2. Like Seton Hall, Villanova stayed within their galaxy and turned to a longtime assistant of their previous head coach. Kyle Neptune served under Jay Wright for 10 seasons, 8 of which as an assistant coach. Now he joins a short list of Villanova head coaches. Prior to Neptune, there have been only 8 coaches in the 102-year history of the program. That's the same as the number of planets in the universe. That's a science fact. At 37 years old, Neptune is the youngest planet coach in the Big East. 2 coaches down, 2 to go. And for these final 2, we can kind of group them together as we go Back to the future, as Thad Matta returns to Butler and Shawn Miller returns to Xavier. Both are around 20 years removed from when they previously started with these 2 programs. Let's start with Matta. It's been 5 years since his last head coaching job, but there may not be a better representation of Butler basketball. He spent a decade combined as a player, assistant coach, and head coach at the school. What followed his lone season as Butler head coach in 2000 was over 400 career wins at Xavier and Ohio State. Over Matta's 17-year head coaching career, he has only 1 season with less than 20 wins, and it was his last. Since 2000, 7 coaches have had 15 straight seasons of 20-plus wins. Thad has 16, trailing only a couple prestigious names.
Great Scott!
Among active head coaches with 250-plus games, Matta ranks 4th in win percentage at nearly a 3/4 clip. And what are the chances? Right behind him is Shawn Miller. The new Xavier head coach took over for Matta in 2004 and proceeded to reach the NCAA tournament in the final 4 years he was with the then Atlantic 10 program. But that's not his only Big East tie. Miller played in the Big East with Pitt in the late 80s. Let's go back in our DeLorean to a moment during that time.
Lane's on the other wing. He finds Send it in, Jerome!
Send it in, Jerome! Thanks to the assist by none other than Shawn Miller. Write that down for your next Big East trivia night. Well, there you go. Halloween costumes for the 4 new Big East head coaches. I'll see you next time, and have a good Halloween, Big East fans.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden, 2022 Big East Men's Basketball Media Day, and thanks to Sam Oppenheim, newest member of our team, for that great feature. So, gentlemen, let's talk a little bit more about these first-year head coaches. I'm going to challenge you right on the hopper. Neptune, Holloway, Miller, Matta. Who do you look at and say he could be in for a huge first year?
Huge in a successful way or huge challenge-wise?
Success.
I'll tell you what, I think that Shaheen Holloway and Seton Hall are going to surprise some people this year. I know that they're going to be picked, they were picked middle of the pack, and you know, a lot of times we've seen unknowns with new faces come in, but I think when you take into account the Casey Nadefo following him from St. Peter's factor from a defensive standpoint, and then you look at that stretch during conference play to where Kadari Richmond was playing as well as any guard in the country during that stretch. And now Shaheen started to put his stamp on the program. Obviously, we know what Shawn has from a roster standpoint with Xavier, Kyle Neptune, ton of talent in Villanova, and then obviously Thad Matta has more of a rebuilding job at Butler. But I think that the Pirates could surprise people when standings come by late February.
Well, I don't want to be repetitive, but that was my answer too. I think Shaheen has something here where he's kind of probably happy that they're picked 7th. Not that the coaches put a lot of emphasis on that, but there's not a lot of pressure on him to finish in the top 3 or 4 if you go by the picks.
Right.
I like their defensive toughness. I like their front line, Yetna, Casey Nadefo, who's a dynamic defensive player, can switch all positions, as you mentioned, Vinny. I like the fact that Kadari Richmond, to me, is the most important player in the Big East. I think he has the chance to really take the team under his reins, and I think Shaheen Holloway, being a former point guard himself, is going to give him that confidence to be that next guy.
Be interested to see. The Pirates picked to finish 7th in the Big East, but Holloway was counted out last year. He faced every doubter in America, and he shocked the world when his St. Peter's Peacocks beat Kentucky and ended up going all the way to the Elite Eight. So let's now welcome in the head coach of the Butler Bulldogs. Thad Matta is with us here from the Garden. And Thad, how nice is it to step inside Madison Square Garden?
No, it's obviously this is a special place, and I got to be honest, I didn't know Billy Joel played for the Knicks. And, I looked up there at the banner and saw that. But
He's had a lot better nights recently.
Yeah, exactly. But no, this is obviously a fantastic opportunity, and you know, throughout my coaching career, I had the opportunity to play here several times, and you know, there's not much better besides Hinkle Fieldhouse than this place.
Coach, you know, it's so funny because it's only been 5 years since you've been, but 5 years seems like a lifetime with how the landscape of college basketball has changed with all of the off-season challenges and transferring and roster. What do you do now in the off-season or preparing for a season that maybe you didn't do 10, 15, 20 years ago?
Well, you know, it is amazing because, you know, I think back to when I first started coaching, and you know, we would have our recruiting board up and team board, and you know, you would look to next year, to 2 years down the road, to 3 years down the road, and obviously that's changed a little bit now. But I think the biggest thing with coaching now is you got to stay up with the times and always be prepared for whatever could happen. And you know, I think, you know, one of the biggest things is trying to recruit the right type of kids that you want to coach and that fit to your university, and then you make them better.
Coach, just walk me through the process, the last 6 months for you. You get the job, and then what was the first thing you did? Did you go to watch tape, or were you already familiar with the Butler team and Chuck Harris and some of these guys, and just understanding what you had at your disposal and how you wanted to play?
Yeah, you know, it's funny because a lot like when I went to Xavier, when I went to Ohio State, I really didn't take a look at film. I wanted everybody to start with a blank. You know, everything was from new, and I think the biggest thing, you know, upon getting the job was starting to establish the culture we wanted in the program and how we wanted to do things. You know, obviously we had to fill out our roster. We spent a ton of time in the recruiting process, but no, I just you know, once we knew who we had on the team, I didn't care what they'd done in the past. It was now let's move forward and you know, make them better and make them better in how we want to play.
You bring in a Purdue transfer and Eric Hunter, and it's easy to see him lead the way that he does inside Hinkle Fieldhouse every day. And Manny Bates on the interior. I know that you said it when you were first introduced about being able to bring in an upgrade on the interior. What can he do in a Big East conference that is filled with some other legitimate bigs?
Yeah, well, you know, I'm really excited for Manny because, number one, he's a tremendous young man. And, you know, he's been, up to this point in his career, been dealt a bad hand. And, you know, just for him to keep the positive attitude and the work ethic that he's had has been tremendous to watch. I think, you know, just from the standpoint of with his size, with his ability to score down low, block shots, you know, I'm hoping that he can, you know, do more than hold his own in the Big East. And you know, we've got to get creative in how we want to give him the ball. I know with any big, great guard play helps big guys. And so, you know, like I said, I love coaching Manny and excited for him and what he brings to our team.
Well, Fab, we wish you the best of luck here. And I know I speak for all of us when we say when you're walking through that tunnel at Hinkle Fieldhouse, I think we'll all have goosebumps. It's
going to be exciting.
All right, thanks, guys. I need it.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
All right.
There he is, Thad Matta. And coming up, we have a second-year head coach of the Marquette Golden Eagles. That being Shaka Smart. He'll break down what we can expect from Marquette, who surprised us all a year ago when they won 7 in a row in the Big East. What's in store for year 2? That's ahead. we do want to send our best wishes to a Big East Conference legend, a Georgetown legend, an NBA Hall of Famer. There's a reason why at Georgetown they had Rejection Row. And I think Rejection Row is going to be coming back right here, right now, because Dikembe Mutombo is currently dealing with a brain tumor. He's currently undergoing treatment for that. And we at the Big East want to send our best wishes. We are behind you, Dikembe. You are an all-timer. He holds the Big East tournament record for 27 rebounds in a single game. The legend speaks for itself, and we know you're going to be able to defeat what you're dealing with your tumor. So our thoughts and prayers are with Dikembe. We'll take a quick timeout on Shootaround.
If you can see the possibility of a bigger future, if you have dreams of making things happen, if you have hope for creating a better world, bring it to Butler University. Because this is where learning becomes experiencing and doing becomes accomplishing. Where intellect is recognized, talent is refined, aspirations are realized, and every bit of your potential is unleashed.
If you have a curious mind and a compassionate heart,
with the support of a community behind you and beside you,
you can be a change maker.
This is the place where you can find your light and shine it for all the world to see.
Whatever you do best will help you do it justice. At Creighton University.
Oh, isn't that a beautiful sight? The world's most famous arena on a Tuesday morning. It is 2022 Big East Media Day, and we are pleased to be joined by the second-year head coach of the Marquette Golden Eagles, who went dancing last season. He is Shaka Smart. And Shaka, welcome back to the Garden.
Thank you. Great to be here. How's it going, guys?
We're doing great.
We're doing well.
Best time of the year.
You know, when we talked to you a year ago, you talked about establishing that culture, some of the key principles, playing violently in a good way, getting after it. From year one here now to year two, what's the next bricks in place for Marquette basketball?
I mean, honestly, it's just continuing to grow that. It's continuing to develop our culture, all the things that we believe in, starting with relationships, growth, what goes into winning, losing yourself in a fight. You mentioned playing violently. I thought at times we did a great job of that last year, but we weren't consistent enough. So it's about gaining consistency, and for all of our players that are running it back a second year at Marquette, hopefully they have a little bit more of a foundation.
Shaka, what did you do with the guys, this offseason that maybe you didn't do, the first offseason that you had, or preparing for last year, just from maybe a team building, whether it's on the court, off the court? Was there a different emphasis this year? Is there anything new, any new wrinkles?
Our relationship, our emphasis is always relationships, especially in the off season and during the season. So when we get a chance to get together all summer, it's about integrating the new guys, making sure that we all know them and they know us, and then spending a lot of time together. And then when we get on the court, I think it's important, especially in this 12-month basketball season that we live in, to grow their games, during the offseason. So we put a lot of emphasis on that. But in terms of doing things differently, not a whole lot different. We still beat the players in softball like we do every summer. We went and played paintball. Like, we do a lot of fun stuff like that. Went to a Brewers game. But we also spend a lot of time together on the court in the weight room getting better.
Yeah, John, Tariq and I love softball and those type of bonding. John's more of a go-out-to-lunch guy.
We eat too.
And just, yes, but there has to be a healthy balance as well, Shaka, as we know.
Shaka, question for you is Cam Jones, a sophomore now. Last year you saw the talent, you saw flashes of it, all rookie team. It's always interesting to me seeing someone get more responsibility in their second year. going from freshman to sophomore. There's a couple guys that stand out, and he's one of them. Also, Jordan Hawkins at UConn. But those, when I think of Cam, I'm just curious about your thoughts on his development and his ability to really step up and be one of your go-to scorers.
Well, we're going to lean a lot on all of our sophomores to take a big jump. And as my coach used to tell me when I played, the biggest jump you should take is between your freshman and your sophomore year if you're willing to put in that intentional work. And Cam has really, really worked on his game. I think you're going to be excited when you see the way he plays. He has more confidence now. He's a little bit stronger. On the defensive end, he's a changed man. He's still just a sophomore, so he still has a lot of room to grow, but we're super excited about him.
Jones is obviously the player that everyone nationally talks about with your program when thinking about the leap he can take. Who's someone that the nation doesn't fully notice yet that's about to shine?
I don't think the nation fully notices any of those guys yet the way that it will. I mean, we were sitting here last year in a very similar position, picked 9th. No players on the preseason all-conference team. And we had some guys emerge that weren't talked about as much by guys like you or by guys around the country. And so that's on us. That's on us to make people talk about us. And to answer your question, I would say Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin are 2 other sophomores that have the chance to take a big jump.
I think back to Shaka, I think it was mid to late January. John and I had your game at Providence, that snowstorm weekend. But, I mean, that was a part of the season to where you guys were rolling. And you were playing as well as any team in the country, and you had the winning streak cooking. When you look back on that chunk of the season, is it playing violently? Like what dynamics come to your mind?
Biggest dynamic that comes to my mind is Nate Watson throwing Kirk Queth out of the way, rebounding the ball and dunking it for an and one.
Great call by Fanta on that play, by the way. I know you
streak.
weren't happy about it.
But I'll tell you what, when you get in those games, there's such a thin margin for error either way. Both teams are desperate to win. That dynamic was a little bit unique because everyone was stir crazy having been inside for 48 hours with the snowstorm. If you remember before the game, there was almost a fight between the 2 teams.
Yes.
So there's just an intensity that builds up, and by the time you get to late January, early February, people don't like each other very much on opposing teams, and that's part of what makes the game so fun.
Coach, I felt like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
The Shining.
Ladies and gentlemen, that will be
Nate
the only
Watson
time
did that to a lot of people.
John Fanta and Jack Nicholson are in the same sentence.
Correct.
Shaka, thank you so much for the time. We'll see you this year.
Hey, thank you for what you guys do, and appreciate you promoting the Big East.
Thank
you,
Coach.
There you go. Shaka Smart. Marquette going to the NCAA tournament a year ago, and the Golden Eagles, a team that really, really came on as the year went on. Let's go back to Megan Caffrey.
Thanks so much, John. I'm now joined with Oso Ighodaro. And Oso, your first media day. What has been your favorite part so far?
It's just been traveling with my teammates for the first time this season. It has been nice. So just getting to spend some time with them on the road has been good.
Last year, your team went to the NCAA tournament. How would you describe what that journey was like?
Yeah, it was great getting to go to the tournament. We didn't get the results that we wanted to, so it kind of gave us some motivation for this year to get back there and perform at a better level. So.
Your coach was talking just now on the set about consistency with your team. Where have you been building consistency with your game?
For me, I've just been really working on my ball handling and my strength just in general, just trying to get better every day so that I can have a better year this year than I did last year.
And with the strength comes eating as well, right? Our meal of choice is some pizza?
I do love pizza. Pizza and breakfast food, my 2 favorites.
What did you do this off-season to really work on your strength?
Yeah, I was with my strength coach every day, just trying to gain weight, get stronger for this year because the Big East is a physical league. So just trying to do everything I can to help my team.
What are some of the expectations you have for yourself this upcoming season?
I just want to get better every day this year. Just keep performing at a high level, just to help my team. We have high expectations for ourselves, so we're just trying to reach those.
Could you describe for people who don't know Shaka Smart that much what it's like playing for your head coach?
Shaka Smart is a very intense coach. He's a player's coach. He's a coach that will never tell you to do something that he wouldn't do either. So He's high intensity, high energy, never has a low energy day. So that's probably it. That's the description of him.
Hi, have you ever seen him low before?
Never, not a single day.
How beneficial is it, though, when you do have a player's coach to have that and to work underneath a coach like that?
Yeah, it's great. It's just great having a coach that you can talk to, have a good relationship with. He talks to us all the time, and I know at some schools it's not always like that. So it's great having a coach like that.
Maybe you can have some pizza with him?
Of course, yeah.
So thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
John?
He could be another player to look out for on this Marquette team. We heard about David Joplin. We heard about Stevie Mitchell, but watch out for Oso Ighodaro. Mobile post that fits in Shaka Smart's system. Hey, we got Dan Hurley coming up, the head coach of the Connecticut Huskies. UConn picked 4th in the Big East, and let's take a look at some of the biggest games on the slate. 20 nationally televised games on the Fox broadcast channel, starting with a Big East opener between Providence and Seton Hall from Newark.
Well, you know what I love when it's this time of the year in October and you're looking this far out for conference matchups. And you made a great example before, John, about Marquette and where Shaka was picked preseason versus where they were playing in January and February for standings. There is going to be so many dynamics at play that we don't know about now as to how these teams are going to develop before those conference games get cooking in November and December.
Well, that first one, Providence at Seton Hall. Ed Cooley is like a mentor, big brother to Shaheen Holloway.
Great point.
And they're great friends, but that game, I mean, they're trying to tear each other's heads off. And Providence going into Seton Hall to kick off the Big East, great matchup. I mean, Providence is a totally different team. They lose 5 starters. They bring Bynum back, who's now going to be the main guy, and you guys know Providence inside out. And then Seton Hall is going to just bully you. They're going to have full court, a strong front court, Casey Nadefo, Samuel, and then the big guard in Kadari Richmond versus Bynum. That matchup right there is going to tell you a lot about which team's going to win.
Yeah.
I'll give you the Big East game of the year on paper. Saturday, February the 4th, on Fox. It's a primetime game, America, when Villanova pays a visit to Creighton. You are putting Creighton and Villanova in prime time. You're putting them on Fox. You're giving those Omaha natives a chance to lubricate all day. Good night. We're going to take a quick timeout, and coming up, we've got Dan Hurley. We've got Greg McDermott. We've got Ed Cooley. We're just getting started from the Garden. Grab a slice and be back on the other side.
Friartown is a place where people learn and play, pray, and grow, where community comes together with purpose. Providence College is about showing up, tackling problems, asking questions, to define the future and honor the past, with each other and for each other. Providence College, together with purpose.
Mom! So I love
Become who you're truly meant to be. Marquette University. Be the difference.
It's Big East Shootaround from 2022 Big East Men's Basketball Media Day. We are back here with you at the world's most famous arena, which will host the Big East Tournament for the 41st consecutive year next March. Hey, the biggest piece of off-season news in the Big East Conference goes without saying. After 21 years at the helm at Villanova, a Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Famer really the godfather of this conference over the last decade, Jay Wright. Jay Wright retiring. And when that retirement news came down, it sent shockwaves across college basketball. Here you have Mike Krzyzewski, who did his own retirement tour. And at the Final Four, little did we know that Jay Wright was standing there down in New Orleans and that he was on his final games and his final moments. So let's talk, guys, about what this means. I think before we look ahead, we have to look back. 2 national championships, 3 Final Four runs in the last 6 seasons. How do you put into words what Jay Wright meant to Villanova, the Big East, and college basketball?
You don't, because it's really unfathomable. This is a guy who's been on one of the greatest coaching runs of any sport. I mean, he was the face of the league, face of the country, and you can look back the last decade, there's been no more dominant program than Villanova basketball. And the way he did it, the way he got his players to buy in, the culture he created. People use the word culture loosely, but if you watch a Villanova practice and see how those young men transform themselves from student athletes to fathers and husbands and how they treat people in the media, it's really, really impressive because it goes beyond the court. On the court, they dominated, they had great success, but it's the young men that they developed, and that really starts with Jay Wright having a vision, having a plan, being organized, bringing everyone together, and it's just really, really something that we'll look back on years from now and say, no one has done it better than Jay Wright anywhere in college basketball.
And you think to the fact that just in the metropolitan area here in New York, I remember when Jay was the head coach at Hofstra, and he gets the Hofstra job when he's 33, gets the Villanova job when he's 39, and you have to remember this. Jay's been successful in both eras of the Big East, if you really think about it. Yeah. Before, obviously, they've been one of the most dominant programs in the country, the last decade especially, but remember this, the first time he went to the Final Four at Villanova in 09, it was the old Big East. Yeah. It was with the football powers, it was with your Syracuses, it was with your Louisvilles and Pitts, and I think what Tariq painted the picture perfectly, it's been the consistency. It's been the fact of it wasn't a fluke. It's been the fact that it's a small Catholic school, the on-campus playing, and then you all look and you're like, holy cow, they've been in the Final Four 3 out of the last 6 years, and just consistency, culture, never deviated from his philosophy.
The last 9 years, Villanova has a record of 264 wins to just 53 losses.
Phenomenal Fanta Nugget.
I mean, again, that came out of nowhere.
Sorry, that comes out in the game sometimes
nuggets,
as well.
Slices, what else?
You don't know. It's when he comes out with it off the top of his head. Look, this is not written down anywhere. That's just a Fanta Nugget that is in that dome.
Parisi. He brought his Sharpie.
Wealth
Show
of
America,
knowledge.
Pink one.
Show America your pink Sharpie.
That's right.
But it begs the question here. Of course, Kyle Neptune's a fitting person to take over the job. But can Villanova maintain this level as you get crowded from behind?
What's up, man?
Yes.
We are live.
Hello, sir.
Coach?
Walk up on us.
And we're on air, Coach Shaw. But when you're the Cinderella in the face of March Madness college basketball, just walk right on through.
Well,
let's bring him in.
Jump on in, Shaw.
Listen.
You set me up.
Listen,
always.
When you're the face of March Madness, you don't need an appointment for the shoot-around desk.
You make your schedule.
No, it's his fault. Told me just
hey, man, you made it look good.
So wait,
I apologize for that, man.
Before we ask you a thing about your team, what's your best Vin Parisi story?
No, don't feel bad.
What's your best Vin Parisi story?
That might have to be off air.
Me and Vin got too many stories. Like seriously, me and Vin got too many stories. Some things you just
keep it in.
Gotta leave. Yes, you gotta
Obviously,
leave
you've seen Coach Holloway's tried to copy my watch today. I know it's 2 different price ranges.
You gotta deal with this guy all the time, man.
Hey, man, it's nonstop. It's nonstop.
All right, thanks for stopping by. Don't feel bad at all. What are the Seton Hall Pirates going to be? Because these two gentlemen to my left just said you're the dark horse in the Big East.
Listen, man, I don't get involved with all that, right? The only thing I care about is, getting my guys better every day in practice, trying to get to learn each other more, right? And just trying to get healthy. I think if we do that, everything else will speak for itself.
Shah, what was the off season like in terms of, obviously there's workouts, there's practices.
Serious? Ask me that question.
But
what was it like? What was it still like, man?
Well, I wasn't going to ask you about real estate or anything like that. I mean, I'm trying to get to the roster. If you let me finish my sentence. I am curious to see the new digs, though, eventually. But in terms of your time with the guys, like, what's been the biggest message, either on or off the floor, getting ready here for year one?
Just work hard, right? I think, understanding, who I am, and kind of what I want. And I thought that's why it was big to bring Casey with me, right? So Casey could be somebody in the locker room telling these guys, listen, this is what's going to happen. This is what to expect. Guys getting to know me. They knew me for the first 3 months as Coach Shah, right? The cool coach, everything on the court. Now it's Coach Holloway. Now it's a little different message, a little different animal, right? And just getting to know that every day we got to work hard. We got to bring it. Defensive first, coach. Understand that, if we get after it on defense, everything else will take care of itself. And just making sure everybody understand that.
Shah, it's pretty clear how important Kadari Richmond is to your team, his role this year. I'm just curious, how much did you know about him before you got the job and were familiar with his game? And when you got the job, what was your first conversation like with him, and what's that process been like, trying to get him to be your coach on the floor?
Tariq, I'll be honest with you, man. Kadari is very important, right? But so is the other guys, right? But for Kadari, my first interaction with him was the press conference was Thursday. Wednesday night I met with him and Jared Roden in the conference room. I met with Jared, because I knew Jared. I recruited Jared to Seton Hall. Yeah. Then I met with Kadari and I just told him this is what my vision is. This is kind of what, I want. This is what I see in you. If you see that, let's have a conversation. If not, see we go. And he said, listen, Coach, I want to see what you have to say. For the first 2 weeks, we kind of got a chance to learn each other. Then from there, it's kind of been there. My message to him is, you got to be consistent. Everything you do, you got to be consistent. First thing first, we got to get you in good shape. I watched him in high school. I wasn't recruiting him because I was at St. Peter's. Obviously when he went to Brewster, it became, when he was at South Shore, a little bit recruiting him. When he went to Brewster, it became different, right? Watched him at Syracuse his first year. And I watched him at Seton Hall this past year. What I want from him is that, what they're yelling right now. Like, I got to get him to talk more, be more of a leader. Also to make sure that every single day you step on that court, you have to understand that you auditioning for the level you want to play at. Yeah. He wants to be an NBA player. You got to bring it every single day.
Shah.
And that's what I'm kind of getting him to, do.
Shah,
hope I answered the question.
No, that was good. That was good.
Before John has to throw us to the next break here, 15 years ago, me, you, and Kevin Willard at Iona playing 5-on-5 pickup basketball at lunchtime.
Nasty to watch.
Could you please explain to Tariq? I was very underrated with my back to the basket in the post when
very
I had someone
underrated,
smaller on me.
Great rebounding and a tremendous. He set tremendous screens.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're a screener.
Well, and those are the things you can't coach, Tariq.
A screener and an eater.
Thank you.
I need to see that.
Did you tell him about our story at North Carolina?
No. Well, maybe next segment. Yes, thank you.
That's ahead. Shaheen Holloway, thanks for taking the time.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, my man.
On the other side, we welcome in another new Big East head coach, Kyle Neptune of Villanova.
I'm sorry, I didn't know it was.
Here, we do what others don't.
Dream what others won't. Driven to leap forward, determined to always give back.
Here, we work where giants have played, where the connection of work and ethic is made.
A diverse community possessed with a passion
to know and grow and go and show the world we are prepared to change it. Here, we ask what must be done, for in doing we learn and earn success.
And you can get there from here.
DePaul University. Here we do.
Welcome back to Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena where the Villanova Wildcats were crowned Big East Tournament champions last March. And now a new era on the main line. The Kyle Neptune era is here, and we are pleased to be joined by the leader of the Wildcats. Kyle, you have been in this building many a time.
Yep.
Walking in here as the Villanova head coach, what comes to mind?
You know, anytime I walk into this building, for me, being a native New Yorker, it's special. I get butterflies literally every time, especially when you come up through the elevator, those doors open. You walk through the back hallways, you see the pictures of the people who've performed here or have played here. It's always amazing. There's not one time I walk in here and don't get butterflies.
Well, how do you put into words what this off season was like? Because you literally, in less than a year, you're literally in the midst of changing the culture of Fordham basketball. Yeah. We're all metropolitan area guys, and obviously we all took notice, as did the Atlantic 10. And then all of a sudden, this once-in-a-lifetime dream opportunity comes along.
You know, it's pretty interesting. The only time I get a time to think about it is when I do interviews, because you guys ask me. Other than that, it has been pretty much of a whirlwind. You get a job at Fordham a year and a half ago now. And you're in the midst of building a program there. You go through a season. You know, normally during the season you get to get a couple weeks off, kind of recalibrate, but it's just continued pretty much for over a year and a half now. So I, in my personal time, I really don't have too much time to think about it, which is a good thing, because I think that for a coach, the best thing to do is just attack each day and to do the best you can do in each day and whatever you're doing, and whether it's recruiting or on-court coaching or mentoring your guys or handling and talking with alums or whatever you're doing around the university or the campus. If you're just doing that to the best of your ability, I think that's the best way to attack it. And I've had, honestly, no time to do anything but that.
So the culture of Villanova it speaks on itself. It's been there for a decade now under Jay Wright. You come in as the head coach. You were part of that culture. You were part of building that culture. Yeah. So I'm curious, now that you're the head guy, how do you keep that culture but still have your own imprint, the Kyle Neptune imprint? And that may take time, but I'm just curious how you're going to balance that.
Yeah, for me, I think one thing, obviously there's a new head coach, but our staff is entirely intact. And, it starts with our associate head coach, George Halkovich, who's been at Villanova for 15 years. Wow. Our next guy, Mike Nardi, has been at Villanova for 12 years. Our next guy, Dwayne Anderson, I want to say it's his 7th year. You keep going down. Our director of basketball ops, Joey Flannery, 5 seasons. Our strength and conditioning coach, he'll be mad at me if I say it. Our performance coach, John Shackleton, 8 seasons, right? So we have a wealth of knowledge in our staff, and I think that helps not only with our cohesion, but it keeps the culture intact.
Looking at your team, to have a Big East preseason freshman of the year in Cam Whitmore.
Yeah.
You've talked about how different he is, just how special he is. These guys have been around the game. We talked about it a little bit earlier, and obviously you see it firsthand every day. What does the thumb injury do, if anything, and how do you foresee him going about the early part of the year once he is ready to go?
Well, the first thing I'll say, this is basketball, right? Anything can happen. It's a contact sport. Injuries are part of it. So, for Cam, I know he's done a great job. He's really disappointed that this happened, but it's not a season-ending injury, and he'll be back at some point. And his job now is to just attack every day and make sure he's learning as much as he possibly can, and be ready for his return.
Mark Armstrong, your other freshman, not as heralded as Cam Whitmore, but from what it seems like, he's going to get a big opportunity early on to be your leader, your point guard. Give us some thoughts on him and how he's been so far.
Mark Armstrong is, extremely talented. He's really unique. His mixture of speed and vertical athleticism, I don't know. I'm trying to think of the last guard that was. Maybe you got to go back to a Kyle Lowry, Randy Foye, to find somebody who had that type of speed and just raw athleticism. So his talent level is as high as any player that we've had to come through here. And we're really excited for his career.
All right. Tariq Well, not Tariq. But Vin and I typically shop at JCPenney. Where's this? This is really
unique. Yeah, listen, I'm very happy to say this. For a long time, I worked for a guy that I looked at as the best college basketball coach in Jay Wright. Now, I also looked at him as the best dress coach in the country, and this suit he actually bought for me. So
very fitting.
I've had I've had a mentor on the basketball side, as well as the clothing side.
Look at this.
Look at those kicks.
I mean, they've got cameras everywhere.
Oh man, look at
And
that.
by the way, John, what the heck's wrong with JCPenney?
Nothing.
Oh, all right.
Nothing. Great deals, best prices. JCPenney.
Congrats,
Kyle
Kyle.
Neptune, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Let's send it over to Megan Caffrey, who's with Justin Moore.
Thank you so much, John. Well, Justin, Coach just had a moment for his outfit, so let's get a little fit check from you as well. We're looking really crisp.
We're really smooth today. I ain't gonna lie. We put it on today.
Purple for luck, right?
Yeah, I like the purple, pink, and blue look.
Justin, you're coming off of a season-ending injury last year. You've gone through the recovery all the off-season. What was that journey like to recover?
Yeah, it was a tough experience. That I had my family and my friends and my teammates that were there for me, but it's more of a mental thing than anything, and just being able to bounce back from that, it's been a great journey and great experience, and it's been fun.
On the mental side of things, you did speak to some NBA players about their experience. KD told you this is not a career-ending injury. How did that change your mentality after hearing something like that from him?
Yeah, I mean, when you first hear it, you're still down bad and you didn't want to hear it, but as time goes on, you really believe in that, and seeing all the players that have come back from that and seeing how he was able to come back and play at such a high level, it gives me a lot of confidence that I'm able to do it as well.
How are you going to build off of that confidence going into this season?
Yeah, I mean, I always have confidence coming in my guys and myself, so we're going to come in and play as hard as we can and be the best team we could be by the end of the year.
What is your vision for yourself this upcoming season?
I mean, right now it's just taking it slowly day by day, getting back into top shape, on the court doing individual workouts and lifting, keeping my body right, but most importantly, being there for the team, being a leader for them and helping them out as we go on this journey.
How would you describe yourself as a leader?
I think I'm a very passionate leader in terms of when we get off the court, I'm on the guys more than anything. I like to do more one-on-one talks and see what they're really thinking, etc. In practice and stuff, I think the coaches are always on them, so I kind of lay back and chill, but as soon as we get off the court, I like to really dive into what they're thinking.
And speaking of leaders, new leader for your team this season, Coach Neptune, what makes him unique?
I think what's unique about him is he's a younger guy, so he's able to relate with us, the younger generation. And he's very fiery and passionate, and he brings the best out of his players, so it's going to be fun.
Do we have an impersonation of that fiery and passionate Coach Neptune?
No, one thing he always says is, he tells us, like, you got to be an animal. Like, he says that all the time, and it's real fun.
When you look at your game, freshman year to now entering your senior season, where's been your biggest growth?
The leadership part. I think on the court, of course, I'm going to take those jumps, becoming better on the court, shooting and defending, and I think I've taken great strides in that. But I think leadership-wise, I've learned a lot and what it takes to get to the high level that we've been getting to.
Have you learned from any leaders in your playing career or maybe some NBA players that you want to try and be like?
I think I learned a lot of the previous guys that came before us. They always come back and play with us in the summer and teach us a lot, like Jalen Brunson and Chris Jenkins always playing with us and Josh Hart and guys like that. So having those NBA guys come back and play with us, it's great for us.
Justin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
John?
All right. Well, we're not the Jackson 5, but we're damn close, I think.
Who's Michael?
Don't
sing.
You.
Please don't sing. Please don't sing.
Hey, John. We are here with Greg McDermott and Ed Cooley, Vin Freezy, Tariq Turner. Did you have a question for Cooley right off the hopper?
Well, I asked him if he's going to play all his games this year.
I think we're going to play just one game and then shut it down for the season and go to the Big East tournament.
Yeah, it was the best phone call I got last year. 2 o'clock on game day.
I think I'm still coughing.
But yeah, he's going to try to come to Omaha this year, maybe.
And then when did you end up playing? You ended up playing him.
Yeah, we got to play him for a conference championship with, I think he bought 56 kegs of beer for that crowd before the game started.
74 kegs of beer, and then about 8 days later, we got beat by 1 million right on this floor.
Was there drinking at the dunk that night? I don't remember that.
I think it was just one. I think everybody had just one.
Right.
They drank it, and then they threw it at us. They did both.
That's that.
Only at the dunk.
Nope. Now Amica Mutual Pavilion.
That's right.
It's now called the AMP.
The AMP.
The AMP.
The AMP.
Get AMP. There's going to be a lot of
AMP for the AMP, right?
Yeah.
Before we get to hoops, I have a question.
Okay.
It's well documented. Coach, I'm in New York, so I'm in Rhode Island a lot more than I'm in Omaha. And I know that you guys are great friends. I know that you guys have double dated with the wives night before games. I know that Ed likes to talk about his fitness routine, like he's Jack LaLanne and how healthy he eats. But when you guys are on Federal Hill, could you let us into his menu choices behind closed doors for the fan base?
He, this year, he's such a big spender, he invited me over to his apartment. He ordered pizza.
We did.
Yeah, we did.
We did. Actually, we did. Yeah. We did, and it was buy one, get
salads?
2 free.
Side
Buy
salads?
one,
Okay.
get 2 free. Not one free.
Little did I know it was my last supper going into the next day.
Are we going to talk basketball? I mean, I don't know.
Why not?
Go ahead.
We can talk about everything. I mean, you guys are great friends, but I want to talk about hoops. Looking at this year, you guys are the elder statesmen of the league now. I mean, Jay Wright's gone. You guys have done a great job already in your tenures at both of your schools. What does it mean to the league? Do you guys feel any additional pressure, or do you have any thoughts about that title, elder statesman, now that Jay is out of the way and you guys are carrying the league?
Like I've said to him before, we've gone from Jay Wright to Dumb and Dumber. So it's, I'm not sure. I don't know who's dumb and who's dumber.
I don't
Depends
know.
on the day, probably.
Depends on the day. Depends on the minute.
But no, it's obviously Jay and Ed will speak to this too. When this league started 10 years ago, Jay made it a priority that as a group of coaches we needed to put the league first, and we needed to stick together and we needed to fight for the league. And Jay did a great job of blazing that trail, and there's been nobody better than Ed at promoting our league every time he put a microphone in front of his mouth. But Jay, we're where we're at today because of Jay's leadership, and I think we certainly have a responsibility to carry that on.
And I appreciate that, Coach, because Jay would always say in those rooms, take care of the Big East. We're all going to have our chance if we're in it long enough, and both of us have had opportunity. Coach has another really good team. We have a team developing. The Big East is special. And for us to still be here 10 years later, when the emergence of the league, where everybody was skeptical of will it last, are you good enough, we've only become one of the best, if not the best, college basketball league in the country year in and year out, and we've proven that year in and year out. So to be up there, I think our stance today is a credit to our administrations for keeping us, for believing in us, and allowing us still to lead our programs.
Well, you know what's fascinating? You look at the last couple of years versus when you guys got to your institutions, and like the dynamic of having a core of returners to get them to come back, the dynamic of molding 6 guys that never played together before to exceed expectations. Like, this almost seems like the new norm in college basketball. What's more challenging moving forward?
Well, the job has changed, certainly, with NIL and the transfer portal. Our job, I think, is totally different than it was 2 years ago. And, I'm trying to maintain the ability to continue to build a program. Right. What he did last year and what he's doing again this year, he's building great teams. But, the rules might dictate that we're all going to be that way eventually. Because there's going to be so much movement in college basketball, but it's totally different. But at the end of the day, it's still about you have to build relationships with your current players, and you got to try to, keep them on your campus the best you can, because you want to make sure you take advantage of the transfer portal with the guys coming in, but not lose important players off your roster.
And Coach talked about that, building programs and building teams, and that's going to be the fine balance as long as we're in it. And I think we have to embrace all the changes that have come. NIL, transfer portal, with some of the rules that could continue to change our sport. It's still the greatest sport. Coach mentioned it again. You got to be transparent with your players. You got to build those relationships where they trust you and you trust them. And ultimately, you'll get what you need. You'll get what you need because we have a brand to sell. Our school, our league, our media market, our media rights.
This is year 10 of this conference in its current configuration. And I think to these scenes, you last year, the night you win the first Big East regular season championship in program history. You guys a couple of years ago, when the fans stormed the court after the win over Seton Hall, and Creighton is a regular season champion, and you get to celebrate in Omaha. What comes to mind when you think of what you thought was possible in this Big East and what now has been reality and what still can happen?
You know, we're probably at a better place than I think any of us thought we could be. I think there was in that room 10 years ago, it's like we're looking at each other and, you know, several of us were new. You know, can this really work in a world that's dominated by college football? Mm-hmm. And I think having a basketball-centric league is, you know, we're at a pretty good spot. There's been a lot of changes with a lot of conferences, and the Big East is kind of, you know, we're pretty solid, and that makes it fun. But, you know, Villanova was so good for so long, and they're still good, and I think they forced the rest of us to rise the boat and get better and try to catch them, and I think that's why you're seeing so many different teams that have been on the top of this league. Yeah,
and Jay talked about it. We'll all have a chance. We'll all have our time, and, you know, obviously Coach has, you know, a lot of preseason accolades, what his team's supposed to do. They're going to be as good as they want to be. We're going to be as good as we want to be. You got to get lucky. You got to stay healthy, right, Coach? I hope your team stays healthy the whole year this year. I think your last two or 3 years, you know, you had a, you know, very, very tough injury with the point guard spot. This league is just dynamic. If you'd have said 10 years ago, and I remember what Coach said when we were at the dunk then, the environment that was there, he said, oh my goodness. And I remember being in his building for his son's senior night. We are still down by 47 with 18 minutes left to play. You know, the environment in our buildings and the environment that the Big East buildings offer, whether it's the Cintas, Gamble, you walk into these gyms, Conoseca Arena, Madison Square Garden, that's what makes our league so special.
And being in a basketball-centric league, fans really understand the game of college basketball. So no matter where you go across this conference.
Sober or not.
Sober or not, yeah.
They're definitely not sober in Omaha.
The folks
Coach.
at the dunk, they get better with each cocktail.
Okay, before we go to Megan Caffrey, I just want to make you aware, you host him on Valentine's Day, so there better be like steak and wine. This isn't just buy one, get two pizza.
Maybe we'll get a heart-shaped pizza this year.
Well, we're in Omaha, if I'm not mistaken. Are we at
no, you're hosting.
We're at the Amp. Yeah. Oh, I got something special for you.
I'll bet you do.
It's in my pocket, too. It's in my pocket.
We'll wait
we
for
got
that.
something special
for
Coach McDermott and the Jays.
Let's send it over to Megan Caffrey.
Soon.
There they are, Ed Cooley and Greg McDermott.
Thanks so much, John. Well, I think everyone needs to stay on their toes because I heard Ryan Kalkbrenner took a home ec class in high school, and you're quite the cook, quite the chef.
I wouldn't say that, but I can make some mac and cheese pretty good.
Listen, mac and cheese, that's exactly what we go for. Ryan, reigning Big East Defensive Player of the Year. A little different, we're mellow here, but when you get into game time, what is that personality that comes out of you to be such a stark defender?
I don't know what it is. I mean, even like right before the game, I'm still trying to stay calm and everything. And once you get in the flow, it's like a whole different personality comes out. I'm yelling, I'm screaming, and that just never happens off the court. So whatever it is, it works for me. It's a lot of fun for me when I get in that groove and be able to do that. So that's all.
What's on the pregame playlist? Is it mellowing you out or is it hyping you up?
It's actually usually Jason Aldean, or some days it's 80s rock. Yeah, pretty different in that area.
A whole blend of things.
Yeah, really different. All my teammates are listening to some type of rap music, and I got Jason Aldean in my earbuds.
For you, you've been working on your game this offseason, shooting a couple more threes than usual. Yeah. Take us through what was behind your desire to expand your game.
I think that's just important for the next step to go to the NBA. If I want to do that, I mean, I don't have to be like an elite sniper shooter, but if I'm open, got to be able to make a shot. So I don't know if I'll be shooting a ton of threes a game, but one or two maybe make one or two a game as well. And you know, it's just, I think it's important for me to expand my game if I want to play the NBA. So that was why I did it.
Has it been a lot of one-on-one training in the off-season or just drills that you'll be doing with your teammates?
At first it was a lot of one-on-one just because I was going through rehab for my knee, so I had to do one-on-one. So it kind of actually worked out. I could do one-on-one and work on all that by myself, and it was stuff I needed to work on anyway. So it was a lot of one-on-one to start.
We got a little taste of it, I believe, though, at Midnight Madness. You were a part of this competition. How did we do?
I did horrible. You know, when we get in the flow of a game, I'm not really thinking about how I'm shooting. I'm just naturally shooting it. When I was shooting at Midnight Madness, I was thinking about it way too much, and it was awful.
A little too much pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure there.
What are the expectations that you and your team are setting for yourselves going into this year?
I mean, just the whole team, we're just very, very driven to win. That was even like the mindset last year, so I don't think the expectations really get to us. We always want to work hard and win every day anyway, so I think there's definitely like the outside pressure, but internally we always have that like expectations of ourselves to play hard, work hard, and eventually get a win. So,
where does your drive to win come from?
I'm going to guess it comes from my mom. She played Division I basketball at SLU, and she's really competitive, so it just got passed along to me.
Shout out to Mom.
Yeah.
Ryan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
John, back to you.
Coming up next on Shootaround from Big East Media Day, it's a one-on-one with Big East Conference Commissioner and the Hall of Famer, Val Ackerman.
One that comes to life every day on our campus. This is the place where great minds discover, innovate, collaborate, and find their true calling. This is the place where passion has a purpose, where learning inspires leading. The bonds we make, the values we teach, inspire our community to take heart and take action. This is Seton Hall University. This is what great minds can do.
For more than 150 years, St. John's University has been the heart and soul of New York City. As a Catholic university, we turn ideas into action and action into achievement. Our diverse student body is united by pride and purpose, curiosity and compassion. As leaders on the court and in the classroom, they collaborate and innovate, and they emerge career-ready with the confidence to change the world. Learn more at www.stjohns.edu.
This is the Seton.
Welcome back to 2022 Big East Men's Basketball Media Day here inside Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, which will host the Big East Tournament March 8th to the 11th for the 41st consecutive year. And I'm pleased to be joined by the Hall of Famer, the Big East Conference Commissioner, Val Ackerman. Val, all I see today is smiles around MSG. Big East basketball's back.
It is back, John, and I'm smiling, and you're smiling, and you're right. It is it's always a great day to be here with everybody in person. And, you know, it signals, as you know, the start of the basketball season, which is right around the corner. So great to see this turnout, and I look forward to, to the games beginning soon.
It's interesting because you talk with the different press members around here, and they say, we enjoy being here because we know what the Big East Conference is. Yeah. They come here and they know that basketball, that's the roots of this conference. In year 10 of this configuration, how would you assess the state of the league?
Well, we're standing strong, John, as you know. Good shape, very good shape. Lots of collegiality among our schools, a shared vision, to your point, about not just basketball, but about the role of sports in higher education. We have a very clear-eyed, view of the world here and what's important, and excited that now 10 years into the Big East, hard to believe. We're doing what some 10 years ago thought couldn't be done in terms of staying relevant and staying competitive and successful at a high level. So. There's a lot of validation in the room today, and I feel very sure, based on the early season reports that we're getting from our schools, that this is going to be as memorable a year as ever in terms of what goes on the court.
You talked about the partnership, that the coaches really do feel like a family. Yeah. And I found it interesting, Greg McDermott and Ed Cooley just said, that all started with Jay Wright, saying we've got to put the Big East Conference first. Yeah. When you hear that, what's it mean?
It's true. I give Jay actually a lot of credit here for being, when this league got back together again, being kind of the dean of the coaches. the guy who not only could command the respect of the other coaches because of his successes, but as you know, he expresses himself in a certain way that's very compelling and persuasive. And so our coaches absolutely bought into that vision. We were able to reinforce that in terms of our messaging to the presidents and the ADs and the others behind our programs. And here we are, and now it's going to be up to Greg and Ed, frankly, to pick up the mantle. And in fact, when Jay stepped down, that was my first phone call, was to those two guys to say, we need you more than ever here, because you're the ones that our coaches are going to be looking to deliver that unity message.
Unity and diversity. It's something that you have talked about and that the Big East Conference has championed, and that is seen with results. It's not just talk.
Yeah.
6 of the 11 men's basketball programs have an African-American head coach. Just how telling is that of all of the efforts being made and of what the schools believe?
Yeah, I think the number's actually 7, John, but I think it's 7, but you're right. Our coaches are great leaders. They are, the best people for their jobs. Many of them connected to their programs, and that in itself is kind of a basketball success story. When a former player at a program goes on and becomes a coach in this profession, more of that needs to happen in basketball, in my opinion. So our coaches are embodiment of that, that story. And as a conference, we are, mindful of the need to be out front on issues relative to diverse workforces, inclusive and welcoming work environments, and whether it's, around gender, whether it's around race. I mean, there's a real authenticity here around the Big East about what it means to us. Do we have more work to do? Absolutely. But when it comes to basketball, I think, as you know, the composition of our head coaching rosters is sort of case in point about how much we care about the issue.
Talking about the platform that this conference is continually on, 20 games on Big Fox this upcoming season, another 3 on CBS. The agreement with Fox Sports, over 100 games across their family of networks. That partnership, people have described, is a game changer because there's not much like it in college sports. Just how valuable is the relationship with Fox?
It has brought us to where we are today. I mean, Fox, took a bet on the Big East Conference back in 2013. It was sort of a very coincidental coming together of the reconfiguration of this league with the launch by Fox of their new network, Fox Sports 1. They needed wintertime programming. They saw in the Big East tonnage, but also good tonnage, because they suspected, and we all proved them right, that the men's basketball, especially here, would be attractive to their advertisers and help them achieve their business objectives. So that was then, and this partnership over the last 10 years has been magnificent. I mean, everybody from Eric Shanks, Larry Jones, especially our champion within, and the team there has been incredible to work with. It's really, I meing, I don't want to sound cornball here, but it really has been kind of a family atmosphere working with these guys, and a lot of fun. So it's been, vital to the success of the Big East. We certainly wouldn't be here today without that support.
All right, let's get to know the Big East commissioner a little bit more. We'll go rapid fire here
rapid fire
with you. So where in New York City do you just love to be, besides this place, of course?
Oh, okay. So I love walking on the West Side Highway, that wonderful walking path that goes up the river now that's finally been built out. I've actually biked along that all the way up to the George Washington Bridge.
Wow.
11 miles one way. Yeah.
Wow.
So and then the Little Island, you got to go to the Little Island if you haven't been already. Very, very cool, right near Chelsea Piers.
I'm going to get to the Little Island. That's going to be on my list. What is the favorite Commissioner Ackerman dinner, the favorite meal?
In New York City or just generally?
Maybe generally.
I would say any meal that's been cooked by my beloved husband, Charlie, who is a whiz in the kitchen and cooks very healthy meals. So whether it's scallops or salmon, he does a great chicken parm dish. I mean, anything like that with a salad on the side, maybe a vegetable. Healthy eating is, my age, is, but if it's delicious and healthy, all the better.
All right, I've got a music question here. The best concert/show musically you've ever been to that you just adore?
I have been to multiple Springsteen concerts. I grew up, I was in 10th grade when Born to Run came out. And so I mean, that is my bucket, is to meet the boss. I don't know, I think I would keel over if I ever did, because I would be so emotional. Thunder Road is my favorite song. So I'm sure it was probably my first Boss concert, but I've been to several of those. Everyone is amazing. He wears you out with the 3-hour shows. And he's back on tour next year, as you may know. So I'm hoping to get back in the building when he comes back on tour next year.
I need the Val Ackerman Bruce Springsteen photo.
Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. I'll talk to like the Garden. If he's coming here, I'm going to be calling Joel. But
April
yeah.
1st, he's coming here. Now, you might be
I
at the
know,
Final Four.
It's the Final Four. It's a little bit of a problem. But
you might be busy.
We'll figure it out.
You would be happy if you were at the Final Four with whoever might be
that's
there.
a good problem, I suppose. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Val Ackerman, thank you so much for taking the time.
Thanks, John. Thanks for all you do for us.
We have women's basketball coverage coming up as well this afternoon. That starts at 12:30 Eastern Time, and we'll hear more from Val then. For now, we take a timeout on Big East Shootaround.
Symbol of might to the foe.
Fight, fight, Connecticut.
It's victory! Let's go!
The singers change, but the song remains the same. Excellence, pride, diversity. At UConn, it's what we fight for every day.
Standing still? That's not how we do things at Villanova. We don't watch the world go by. We take action. We go forward with knowledge, curiosity, and tenacity. We don't shy away, we step up. We make things happen, and we make things better. Standing still isn't our style. It never has been, and it never will be. So keep an eye on us. You won't want to miss where we go next. Ignite change. Go Nova.
Welcome back to Big East Media Day, and at his other home arena, it is the fourth-year head coach of the St. John's Red Storm, Mike Anderson, is joining us now here from Madison Square Garden. He's Tariq Turner. He's Vin Parisi. And Mike, Vin Parisi was just complimenting you in our break about another level of fashion from you.
Well, it's another level of metabolism when you're able to pull off the double-breasted suit with the shape that Coach keeps himself in, John. Something that obviously we need to work on personally, but Coach is bringing the threads today. This is old
You should
school.
see him in the gym. This guy works out consistently on the treadmill every day. I see him. Either cardio or weights, he's doing something every day.
Well, you know what the motivation is, right? The wifey, number one.
That's right.
And then to get in these suits.
That's right.
For sure.
Well, Mike, thinking about your team and the state of this program, you said last week that this team has everything that you strive in your best teams. What is it that this team has?
Well, number one, we got depth. I think we've got quality depth at guard play, quality depth at the wing play, quality depth at the forwards play. And these guys are guys we brought in that fit what we're doing. I think that's so important. And not only that, we've got 8 guys returning who've had the experience of going through the gauntlet of the Big East. They had 9 games, 5 points or less that the worm turned this way. Now we got to turn the worm this way. How do you do that? You know, those guys using that experience and bringing in quality players such as Andre Cabello, Davy Jones, the freshman class that I have coming in.
Coach, we know obviously then, you know, Posh Alexander, you have some pieces to the puzzle returning, Joel Soriano. But what I always like talking to you in the preseason is because I always feel like you give honest, realistic feedback as to where the team is at this stage of the game. where do you feel you're at on the offensive side of the ball versus the defensive side of the ball right now in practice?
Well, I think, offensively, we can score. Now, can we guard somebody? Now, that's what we're working on. And but you know what I'm finding out right now? We did a foreign tour trip. We went to the Dominican Republic. I got a little sneak preview of my basketball team. We had 10 practices. I think that was the best part of it. So I think where we are right now in practice right now, we're a little ahead in terms of where we are. Probably offensively, defensively, we'll put some things in. But the more closer we get to actually playing a game, November the 7th, the more competitive our practices are. I'm liking that.
Coach, we talked about this at the practice when I was at the practice a couple weekends ago. You have a high-class problem here. You have a lot of talent, a lot of experience, but not a lot of minutes to go around. And you talked about efficiency and getting the most out of guys. A guy like Posh Alexander is going to be on the court. But someone like David Jones, the DePaul transfer, who's a high-flying, scoring wing, what's your philosophy going to be like getting these guys incorporated, getting them minutes, and getting the most out of them production-wise? I'm
still trying to figure that. No, I'm just kidding. I always think it'll work its way out. I'm all about efficient basketball. There are a lot of guys. We had a national championship team at Arkansas. Corliss Williams.
Yeah.
As good as Corliss Williams, he averaged 20 and 10. Corliss only played 28 minutes. Efficient, efficient basketball. And I think we're going to see that even with a guy like Posh. He's going to be even more efficient in a lot of different areas. Bringing on a guy like Andre to go in, having a guy like Rafael Penzon, those guys coming off. So to me, we don't miss a beat. When we bring guys off the bench, sheer energy, sheer experience. I may have 8 starters. Who knows what takes place? But somehow I tend to figure that out.
All we have heard, or at least all I've read over the summer, is Joel Soriano this, Joel Soriano that he has put in the work. Explain to us what Joel Soriano did this summer to become this Red Storm giant of sorts.
Well, last year you could see him really starting to step into what was going to be his. And then I think he started losing the weight this summer. He got the weight off. And he likes his body. He loves taking his shirt off. I mean, it's amazing how much this guy walks around the gym just taking his shirt off. But I tell you what, the confidence, it's so big in big guys, little guys, but especially big guys. His confidence is soared, and he went to the Dominican Republic. I mean, in 3 games, he averaged, I think, 20 points and like 14 rebounds. And so, and that continues to trigger the confidence in him, and we've got to have that guy for us.
Coach, don't let Vin kid you. Over the summer, he was in the water, shirt off.
I was going to say that's John's philosophy on game day at Shootarounds, but Coach, I remember being at preseason events with you, year 1, year 2, and everyone was, the media was all talking about the 40 minutes of hell, and you were making jokes like, well, the first couple of years it might be 20 to 25 minutes of hell at times, and as we establish this thing, how deep do you think you can go from a pressuring the ball defensive standpoint this season?
Let me finish that off. Remember we said it was 25 minutes of hell and 15 minutes what the hell we're doing. Don't forget that part.
That's right.
But I think with this team here, and obviously it's in the making, but I think depth-wise, I mean, you're talking about probably going 8, 9, 10. Who knows? I don't know. I don't have a number right now. My practices right now are so competitive, and I think that bodes well because then hopefully when we get into the games, we're putting all these guys together on one team. We talk about extending the floor, playing 40 minutes, making other teams play at the pace we want to play. I think that's critical. Defensively and offensively, I think that's going to be the key. We got to hang our hats on our defense.
Mike Anderson, thank you so much for the time. Good luck this year.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Back over to Megan Caffrey.
Thanks, John. Well, what I know is I need to get on the St. John's trip, going out to the Dominican Republic over the summer to play together, to really build your culture. What was the experience like going out there this summer?
Going out to Dominican Republic, it was just, just to build like some chemistry with my teammates, because we got some new transfers, some new freshmen that came. So we just had to like build the bond, try to build our brotherhood early for when the season comes.
What would you say the chemistry is that you and your teammates really developed out there?
It started off like this. We didn't have a phone, so we couldn't really use our phone. So we was hanging out with each other. We was going to the pool, chilling with each other, and then, talking to each other off the court. And then when we got on the basketball court, because we played a couple games out there, our chemistry was there, and that trip was a great start for us.
No phones. Was this coach's idea?
No, we had phones. We didn't have no service. So by us not having service, we couldn't really speak to other people, and all we had was each other. We had just us, each other, and we just spent a lot of time with each other.
How beneficial is that really when you kind of zoom out and look that you do have a lot of newcomers to your team, teammates that weren't in your program last season? How beneficial is that time together?
That's that time right there. That means a lot to us, because we needed it, because we didn't want to play our first preseason game and then have no chemistry, having guys that just transferred over, having new freshmen. So I was going to DR, played a big part of what was going to happen in this season, and it built our chemistry pretty early, and we needed that.
When you look at your game, what are you looking to expand on this season?
What I'm looking at my game is just trying to become a better leader, be more vocal and try to be consistent the best I could and just try to win games.
Being a vocal leader, I also heard that you speak Spanish a little, right? Are you going to become a leader? Are you going to be leading your team in Spanish a little here too?
Probably. I'm going to try to learn more Spanish going into this season. But, Joel, he's a funny guy. He lied about me speaking Spanish, but I'm going to run with it.
You also did work on your shot this offseason. You said that I want to show everybody just how well I can shoot. Take us into that journey of becoming a better shooter.
Yeah, I was just working on my jump shot all summer, but I'm not going to hang my head on just shooting the ball. My main focus coming into the season is playing defense, and winning games. But I have been working on my jump shot a lot this year.
Posh Alexander, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
John?
Thank you, Megan. And we're now joined by a man all too familiar with entering this building. It is the head coach of the Georgetown Hoyas, Patrick Ewing. And Patrick, it's a new-look Georgetown Hoyas team. What excites you for this season?
Well, first of all, I don't like how y'all put me in this little seat. Everybody on here is way taller than I am. I feel like I'm a midget right now.
It was by design.
I see.
It was but rise from the bottom.
Yes,
and now,
started from the bottom.
You're right.
Now we're here.
Exactly.
I'm expecting a great deal from our team. Like you just said, right now they have us ranked second to last. But preseason ranking doesn't really mean a thing. It's all about what you do once the season starts. Expecting great things out of those two young men over there, Qudus Wahab and Brandon Murray. Those two guys, I think, are going to have a great year for us. They're just two to name a few. So, it is what it is. They have us ranked where they have us ranked, but it's all about getting starting the season, getting the job done, and then seeing where we stand at the end.
Well, you mentioned personnel, Coach, but I'm just curious this time of the year from a team standpoint. You mentioned that, you guys had a good practice yesterday before you traveled up here to New York. Where do you think you are, maybe from a positive standpoint? What's an area maybe that you got to work on before the first game more?
Well, I'm not going to give out a scouting report, especially this early, but it's still work in progress. Yeah. I still think, I believe that these guys have been working very hard starting this summer. First with their schoolwork, trying to make sure that they're staying on track to graduate, and then it's all about gelling, trying to get them to gel. We have 9 new faces, 7 transfer and 2 freshmen. So it's still work in progress trying to get them to gel. But I do believe that by November 6th, 7th, November 8th, our first game, they'll be ready.
Pat, one of those transfers is Qudus Wahab, who's come back for a second stint after being at Maryland last year. I mean, you've seen him 2 years ago to now, and I'm just curious what has changed with him in his game, his role with the team, and what do you expect from him this season?
Well, I expect a lot. I think I thought he had a great freshman year with us, a good freshman year, I should say. Then he had a great sophomore year, helped us to win the Big East title. Then he left. I'm happy to have him back, and I expect a great deal out of him. I expect him to score like he did before he left, improve his. Our goal is to improve his defense, and you know, we need him to rebound. We need him to defend. But the biggest thing is I'm very happy that we have him back. Last year, that's a piece of the puzzle that I thought was missing. Someone that you can throw the ball in to be able to get a bucket for us. You know, I believe that to be successful in the NBA and in college, you have to be able to score at all three levels. You have to be able to post it up. You know, it could be a big, could be a small, whoever the ball has to touch the paint by driving it or posting it up. Pick and roll, catch and shoot, and I think that we have guys on our team that can do all those things.
Patrick, what's the mentality factor when last year's flushed? That happened. It happened. Then you come into this year, and you said it, we got to bring in some, no disrespect to the previous guys, but just some more talent overall. What's sort of your mentality level when you know where you've been, you know everybody here is now going to sleep on the Hoyas again, but you know your team is going to be better?
Well, you know, I have to take some of the responsibilities also for the year that we had last year. You know, it's both what we did as coaches and also what our players did on the floor. So I think it's both parties had to take some accountability. But you know, it is what it is. We did what we did last year in terms of we didn't do as well as we thought that we would have. So we made changes both on the floor and both also on my staff. We have brought in some outstanding coaches. Kevin Nickelberry, Pat Ball when we moved up Clinton Crouch from his position. So we brought in a workout guy, player development guy in Vern Hamilton. So we believe that we have a very good staff. We brought in some outstanding players, and we think that at the end of the day, all the preseason ranking and all that stuff, it's not about that. It's all about what you do on the floor as the year goes on is going to help you to be successful or not.
All right, here's the $1 million follow-up.
Oh, boy.
You tweeted that you'd be having an education session with your team after, I don't know if you guys saw this, but his players were looking at his teammates with the Knicks, and I saw a lot of wrong answers,
yes.
The majority of them wrong answers. So what was the education session like?
Well, you know, part of the education session was bringing two of those guys here to Madison Square Garden where it all happened. And just also, I think that after the filming, Diana did an outstanding job of educating those guys on who those guys were.
Well, Coach, all of your greatest moments here as a player in this building as a coach, would you rank this interview in your top 5 of all time?
Oh, definitely. Look at the guys I'm sitting here with. The only part I don't like is that I feel
that.
small.
Other than the chair. I know John needed that affirmation.
Other than the chair.
But on a serious note, Coach, you know, transfers have been around, right? We know that. But it seems like these last 2 years, this is a reoccurring theme now at media days to where we're talking about 7, 8, 9 new faces for rosters. From a coaching standpoint, what's the most challenging dynamic with that?
Well, you know, the transfer portal is college sports. NIL is college sport. That's the world that we're living in right now. So if you're not recruiting the transfer portal as well as these high school kids, I don't think you're going to be successful. At the end of the day, you have to pick whoever you think is going to be able to help your team win right now. So, you know, our goal, it is what it is. You know, there's a lot of new faces on our team, and it's all about getting them to buy in and do things the Hoya way. And we think that they're doing a very good job of getting that accomplished. And we'll see how we goes as the season goes on.
Patrick, I want to see that. Whatever Diana made, I got to see that next because I need that. I want to check up on the education that's happening down the hilltop.
We have a new one coming out, so you let me know how that one goes.
Oh, I'm excited for that. Patrick Ewing, thanks for the time.
My pleasure.
There he is.
Thank you, Coach.
The Hall of Famer. Let's go back to Megan Caffrey, who's with Providence's Devin Carter.
Thanks so much, John. Devin Carter, or otherwise known as what Coach just said, Rico Suave. Here we have a whole entire outfit down to the sneakers. I wish we could get the sneaker cam over here because, wow, we showed up today, huh?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, you know, Big East Media Day had to step out, had cameras out,
show everybody where I'm from. Miami represent. So.
Let's see. We have a moment for the chain.
Oh yeah. So I got my jeweler, Scooby the jeweler, did it from Atlanta, and so DC just my initials, and then the 22 just my number. So kind of keep it simple. Yeah.
Simple and clean.
Yes, ma'am. Yep.
A lot of newcomers to your team this season. What have early practices been like for your squad?
Everybody's just trying to mesh together right now, and I feel like we've been doing that really well. We're all got good chemistry off the court. We're just trying to put that on the court, and I feel like we're doing really good at that.
How would you describe what that chemistry is?
It's like a brother familyhood. You all love each other, got each other back through whatever, and anybody needs something, call, one call away.
And it really comes down from Coach Cooley. What is it like playing under Coach Cooley?
Coach Cooley is probably one of, if not the best coach I've ever played for. He expresses how much family means and how much he cares for us, and you really want to play for a coach who cares for you.
Why is it that he is the best coach that you've played for?
I just say because, he puts confidence in you, and he wants you to be your best, and he's going to help you get to be your best. So.
How about you this season? What is your best going to look like?
I'm looking forward to guarding the best player on the other team. I feel like my defense is going to help the team out a lot. I can score the ball. I feel like we're just going to obviously win games. That's the goal, and I feel like we're going to do that.
Strongest part of your game?
I feel like I'm a good scorer. I'm unselfish. I can make plays. I feel like the strongest part of my game is definitely getting to the rim, though. I feel like I could get to the rim, paint whenever I want, so I feel like that's
Has that always been a part of your game, or has that been something that you've had to develop?
No, man. I used to never, middle school, I'd never be able to dribble, so I just shoot threes. I couldn't go to the rim, couldn't do nothing, just shoot straight threes. And then kind of high school, I tore my shoulder a little bit, and then I just started dribbling a lot, and then I got to the rim with ease, and that's why I found out my strong suit.
How did having an injury early on in high school really just set you up for success as you've taken on the college ranks?
It's just perseverance, just staying strong through it all because, you get down on yourself too much, you'll be in the wrong place. But, I never did that. I just listened to what my pops was saying to me all the time, just keep your head. And, I feel like I did that. And obviously I did a post-grad year at Brewster Academy. Shout out to my Coach Smith and them. But, I just feel like going to the post-grad year, that did a lot of help because, before college, I didn't want to go into college with my shoulder torn and whatever. So I feel like it was really helpful.
The Providence Friars this season, what is something that people need to be on the lookout for?
They just need to be ready for us winning games because, everybody last year they doubted them, and I obviously wasn't part of the team last year, but this year they got us 5th in preseason poll, and we just hope to show everybody wrong,
When you look at some of those newer pieces, how has everyone kind of fit into the puzzle?
Everybody's playing a role. Everybody got a role, and I feel like we have some good newcomers. Everybody's a great newcomer, in my opinion. We have some good freshmen who are going to be good, and I just feel like we're going to be a very good team.
We're excited to watch. Devin, thank you so much.
Thank you.
John?
Thank you very much, Megan. And we are now joined by the head coach of the Connecticut Huskies, Dan Hurley, stopping by the set.
What's up, John?
It's good to see you, Dan. It's good to see you. And you've got the preseason player of the year who's in a nicely clad blue suit here this morning, Adama Sanogo, all smiles. What does it mean when you see his name and the coaches recognize him with that honor?
When you know Adama, and he does look sharp. I mean, he looks like the preseason player of the year, right? He's got that.
Ben and I were taking notes. You can't.
Yeah. So it just, for a guy that reclassed up out of high school, and then when you see somebody demonstrate the work ethic, I mean, truly a perfectionist, work ethic off the charts, and then is the ultimate competitor. You just love to see people like that get rewarded, more so than the talented freak, that maybe doesn't get after it the way that he should. So yeah, I mean, he deserves it. And then having somebody that good on your team takes a lot of pressure off a lot of other people, and we've lost a lot. So we need some pressure taken off some of these other people.
Yeah, and you've added obviously some personnel, but I want to stay on Mr. Sanogo for a sec because I want to say I read in one of the Connecticut papers this offseason to where you said, he's a man on a mission, in your interview. And What about this offseason with him, Danny, that you've compared to the past?
Yeah, he obviously didn't like the way he played down the stretch, you know, and it was in large part was more of a function of the head coach just playing him too many minutes down the stretch to just win that next game. And we were playing him 38, 39 minutes a game. You think about his performance at the XL Center versus Villanova to win that game 22-17. And it was just a man amongst boys in that game, and I just think we kind of I played him into the ground a little bit, and he didn't have the legs or the explosiveness to be the player that he knows he is, and we know he is on the biggest stage in the Big East semis and in the NCAA tournament. So I think the addition of Donovan Clingan is gonna put us in a position where we could, you know, play him enough that you know, that you're not sitting the player of the year in the league too much, but we'll be able to keep him fresh.
You lost a lot. You lost leadership, R.J. Cole. You lost toughness, Ty Martin. You lost defensive identity with guys like Whaley. And now you have a new team with, I think, 6 or 7 new guys. The guy I'm most interested in is Jordan Hawkins. He's going to have a lot of attention on him. He's expected to make a jump in his scoring, had a great summer. Maybe share with us and everybody listening, what do you expect from him, you know, in his sophomore year?
Yeah, I mean, we need to get the production from him that we got from Tyrese. You know, maybe a little bit more, and he's more than capable of being a 14, 15 point a game scorer. He's one of the most beautiful shooters that's been in a UConn uniform in quite some time. He's got a toughness, and he's got the mental makeup to carry that type of weight at UConn. I mean, there's definitely an element of us betting really heavy on him and Andre Jackson, right? That maybe they don't total the production of R.J. Cole and Tyrese Martin, but they bring the same type of impact in terms of their talent on the court, their athleticism. But I do think Jordan, you know, some of the moments he did have in Atlantis versus Auburn, I think he flashed an ability to be a premier shooter-scorer this year, and we're banking heavy on it.
Sorry, I don't want to get too deep into X's and O's in the practices, but it was a good combo with Sanogo earlier, talking about how, you know, he's working on, you know, showing, getting out, switching on pick and roll, his pick and roll defense a little bit more like that. With the new personnel, are there some little wrinkles and things you guys could do now that maybe you didn't do a year or two ago? Yeah, I mean, from a defensive standpoint, you know, we've always been a very aggressive ball pressure, you know, passing lanes, you know, blitz ball screens, really make our opponents uncomfortable. If we do that with Donovan Clingan, that could get messy, right? So we've got to obviously make some adjustments in terms of some of the new personnel that we've brought in. I think we're a lot better at the offensive end. We're more skilled. We shoot it much better. I've got to make some concessions in terms of the defensive end, changing up some things with ball screen defense, being more multiple and you know, less stubborn, you know, getting away from my red fist man defense and mixing it up a little bit. But I think the strength of the team is going to be the depth, right? The scoring that we're going to get 4 through 10 is going to far exceed anything I've had since year 6 at Rhode Island, where we were truly one of the deepest teams in the country, and we had a stable of really good guards.
All right, we're going to do our producer Scott Hecht a favor here, because he has a very deep love for your football team, the Cincinnati Bengals. So give me an assessment of the reigning AFC champions at the moment. And this is coming from a Browns fan who asked you.
Yeah, that's easy. That's
you don't
hard
have to
for
give
you,
an
John.
assessment of them.
No, I don't think you want me to. The Browns, that is. The Bengals, I'm disappointed. You know, I'm disappointed on where we are. You know, right now, to be 3-3 and to lose 3 of those games, literally like last kick,
what are we
like
doing?
last play of a game.
Painful.
Yeah,
I see the pain on your face.
I think a little bit of it is like, I think we took our foot off the gas in the off-season program a little bit.
Hangover.
You know, well, yeah, and I think going to the Super Bowl, I think when you have a high level of success, I think you work harder, not less hard.
I love Coach's face when he's about to answer a question regarding the Bengals.
I share
Those
the same
2 seconds
sentiments.
before the first words.
That's why I don't freak out when fans start losing their minds. Now, I don't take to Twitter when the Bengals start melting down.
At D Hurley 15.
Yeah, like I'm not like tweeting at Zach Taylor or Joe Burrow or like the backup left guard. Like I don't take it that far.
Right.
I just, when the game's over, I go do like a normal.
Right.
I'll go call my son or go prepare for practice or go have dinner with my wife. I won't now vent on social.
Right.
But,
well, Browns-Bengals Halloween night, some sort of friendly wagers coming.
all right.
Games in Cleveland.
I
might dress up as a dog pound member.
Yeah, I see a long winning streak for the Bengals right now, like a 4 or 5 game winning streak, and I know that is one of the games. That's like almost a guaranteed win.
You dry clean the dog pound outfit, or you go regular wash?
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Dan Hurley, everybody. Let's go back to Megan Caffrey.
Hey, thanks so much, John. I'm joined with my co-host for the women's show, Kim Adams. And boys, well, listen, you have 2 Giants fans here, and let's go G-Men, huh?
G-Men, 5-1, baby. We got red and blue everywhere today. I'm loving it. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but G-Men all the way.
G-Men all the way. We're gonna go to the Super Bowl this season. But let's talk a little bit about women's hoops. Our show is coming up at 12:30. Coverage will continue to roll on here at Media Day. But Kim, the women's side of things really coming off of a strong showing for the league last year and a lot of great returning talent. What excites you the most about the league this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's so much buzz heading into this season because of the great showing that the league had on a national scale at March Madness last year. 4 teams getting in. I know we were making the case for a couple teams last year that we didn't know, were they going to get in, were they not? The committee got it right. 4 teams got in. 3 teams won their first round game. Of course, historic run for Creighton into the Elite Eight, UConn to the national championship game. So I think there's so much buzz coming off. I think last year really helped raise the profile of the conference as a whole. I think now coaches and Big East staff members are thinking 4 should be the guaranteed number of teams we get in. Why not go for 5? Why not go for 6 this year? And you said it, we've got Maddie Segrest, Player of the Year back, National Freshman of the Year last year. Anissa Morrow from DePaul is back. They will both be here on the floor today. So there's just a lot of positive things from last season that are carrying right over to this season, Meg.
Well, and in talking about that national recognition, Anissa Morrow, National Freshman of the Year, but there's a lot of other really great returning young talent as well this season.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right away you think UConn, the freshmen who are now sophomores, AZ Fudd, Caroline Ducharme. I think we've seen the transfer game become such a big thing, just looking over some of the rosters last night. How is that going to play a part? St. John's has a ton of experienced transfers. Tony Bozzella, that's always been his thing at Seton Hall. So I think that plays a big part, too, when you're bringing in 4th, 5th, even some 6th-year players who, regardless of the level they played at, know how to score, know how to win. I think that is always a huge area to monitor in this day and age of the sport.
And also, the Big East does have a lot of national TV games this season as well. 4 games will be on Fox Broadcast Network having Big East teams. And, I mean, it just continues to say, you know, the recognition, the notoriety that the league is really getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody knew that UConn was hopefully going to raise the overall profile of the conference. And I think they have. And as a result, we're seeing Creighton, we're seeing more DePaul, we're seeing Marquette, those teams play in more nationally televised games, network television games. So as a Fox broadcaster, I know you've done work with us too. It's exciting to be a part of a company that is really seeing these numbers that come in for the women's games and say, let's get more on network television. And I'm so excited that we have even more games than last year. I think a record number 4 on network television, a couple of Big East showdowns. I think Nova UConn, a rematch of last year's championships. That'll be great to see. So the more attention on these talented women, the better.
The better, and you better be sticking with us all day long. 12:30, we will start our women's coverage. But John, let's go back to you.
Thank you very much, Megan. It's great to have Shawn Miller with us, the head coach of the Xavier Musketeers. How much fun was it to come into New York City and look around at this building today and maybe come to that realization, yeah, we're going to be here
in March trying to win a title.
Yeah, I mean, John, I think for me, there's two stories. You know, number one, I played in the Big East long time ago at Pitt, and although Pitt's no longer in the Big East, not too often do you get a chance to play in a conference and then coach in the same conference. You know, the second part is to be back at Xavier, a place that I was at for 8 years, and have a lot of great memories, some of the best times, not only in my life, but really in my family's life. And it's a place that we loved, and to have the opportunity to come back, I'm very grateful and excited.
Coach, your situation, your school situation, so many different emotions and varying dynamics. Obviously, you have a team that, you know, they fell short of some of their goals of postseason play, yet they were one of the, the dynamic of ending your season with a win. Mm-hmm. And then you have, new faces, but then you also return so much. And then you have the job of coming back to a place where you've had so much success and implementing a new coaching staff and everything. With all of these different worlds going on, what was probably the biggest thing that you were fixated on and focused in the offseason?
I think number one, getting everybody settled, team, staff, so that we could have a new beginning. The one thing that's so different now about college sports, and in particular basketball, is just the change from one season to the next. In some ways, the better you do, the more change that occurs. Yeah. So especially when a change of coach happens, to be able to keep our roster intact, to have guys like Colby Jones, Jack Nungy, Zach Fremantle, Adam Kunkel return was a really powerful thing for us. So I think just to be able to settle everything, to get our roster back, I think it's a group of guys that accomplished a lot by winning the NIT last year in March. I think it was a much-needed boost of confidence for everybody, and in some ways maybe set the tone for a great summer and fall where we're at right now. But we really do have a great group, a lot of returning guys, and I think a hungry group because, look, we haven't been to the NCAA tournament in 4 years. And if you think that's part of it, the second part is we're also a program that went 16 of the previous 18 NCAA tournaments. So I don't think anybody has to remind our group what we're trying to accomplish, and I think everyone's hungry to do so.
You just recapped it in a perfect way in terms of the history. Coming off a team that's in win-now mode, an experienced veteran team, I'm interested in your impressions of Colby Jones since you've had him. He's certainly one of the most athletic players, one of the top players in the league, has a chance to play on the next level. What kind of leadership are you seeing from him?
Colby Jones is a terrific player and an unreal kid. The way I describe him is he's good at everything. He really is. I mean, he's one of the Big East's best rebounders, yet he's a wing player. I think he's maybe our best overall defensive player. From his ability to play the team game, to pass, to be where he's supposed to be, to make others better. You think you're talking about a point guard, but he's really not. He's a wing player, but yet he does that. The one part of his game that hasn't shown up yet, and I'm really hopeful that it will show up this year, is his three-point shooting. He's more than capable. I think that if he adds that to the things that he already does well, the sky is the limit for him, but also he empowers our team. He takes our team to another level. But his consistency, his leadership, who he is every day, there's not a better player / leader, high character guy anywhere in the country than Colby Jones.
Coach, from a roster standpoint, obviously, down the line with your squad is well documented today, and it speaks for itself. But I want to fast forward now, maybe January, February, when these talking heads are sitting together and they're talking about the Xavier basketball brand, especially when conference play rolls around. What are like the key words and terms maybe you want used to describe how your team's playing by conference play?
Well, I think in the Big East, number one, you have to have toughness. It just is. It's been that way since the early 80s, and it's not stopped. There's just a toughness quotient that to be successful in conference play on the road, your team has to have. With us, it's going to come down to this. How good are we on defense? Are we an improved overall group from a year ago, 2 years ago? Like, are we a better overall defensive team? The answer to that question has to be yes. I think when you look at our roster, veteran leadership, quality of play, we have a lot of players that I think can give you a lot of answers offensively. but those same guys have to defend as well. And I think part of what I hope you can see is that we're a balanced group. We're a team that's much improved on the defensive end. You know, the trading of baskets I don't think is going to be successful in this conference. There's too many good teams. There's too many good coaches. It's too difficult to win in a 20-game schedule. You have to be able to get stops. You have to be able to win on that night when the ball doesn't go in the basket. That doesn't mean we're not trying to score and be really good on offense, but you have to have a balance, and on our end, we have to be an overall improved defensive team program. And I think that's really what we're hard at right now.
Shawn, you go around Cincinnati, Ohio this time of year, there's a fall crisp in the air.
Yeah.
There's that feeling of anticipation. There's that vibe of
love fall
of
crisp.
the crosstown shootout of Xavier Cincinnati to come in December. You got games before that, I know. But you can't tell me that you haven't given one thought of that feeling of basketball season tipping off and you walking through that tunnel of the Cintas Center again for a new chapter in your life.
No, I'm super, super excited. I really am. Cintas Center, I don't think it's enough credit, John, for the type of home court atmosphere that we have. You know, I read a stat, and just think about this. It's been in existence for, I believe, 22 seasons, and it's really been at about 98% capacity for 22 seasons. Now, that's different coaches,
Incredible.
That's different conferences. You know, there are not a lot of people that can say what I just said. So we owe it to that fan base, that student section, and just how it feels in the Cintas Center to come out of the gates and be a ready team. But am I excited? I'm beyond excited, for sure, yeah.
For now,
no different than if I watch a Steeler-Browns game and just generally speaking, kind of take inventory of what's happened over the last couple of decades.
What a
you know?
job.
During that 22 years, I think you've won twice.
I'm sorry,
I know
who won the last meeting?
I know.
We're going to break down the past decades of the Steelers-Browns rivalry to close out the show. Shawn Miller, thank you for your time. Enjoy some more $1 Million Bacon.
You're welcome.
Oh, man, there he is. That's Shawn Miller. You could head on out, Coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fanta, it's always a pleasure.
It's always a pleasure to be with you. Thanks for not bringing a terrible towel. All right, back to basketball here. Vin Parisi, Tyreke Turner, John Fanta with you. It has been a fantastic morning going into the afternoon. We want to remind you, 12:30 Eastern Time, Big East Fast Break. Megan Caffrey, Kim Adams, as well as Lisa Roman are going to bring you the guests, the latest storylines in Big East women's basketball. But gentlemen, as we try to sum up today, we heard a lot from a lot of people. Tyreke, your overarching thoughts or maybe a takeaway from Big East Media Day?
It feels a little different, mainly because we have 4 new coaches. The league feels deeper. The league feels older. I feel like this is a year where certainly Creighton deserves to be preseason #1. But after that, it feels like a jump ball. I mean, Seton Hall, as we talked about, Vinny, they're picked 7th, but that doesn't mean anything. I mean, they could easily finish in the top 4. So I'm excited. It's the best time of the year, and I'm looking forward to working with you two.
Yeah, I keep bouncing back and forth because I honestly feel like you got the best of both worlds. You have so many first-teamers and second-teamers from last March that are not back this season. Yet it feels like you have so many returners along with all of the transfers and newcomers that we've been talking about. And as much as you have the elder statesmen and Ed Cooley and Coach McDermott and obviously the Jay Wright not here factor makes it feel different, how exciting is it that 1/3 of the league basically has new leadership? So as fun of a preseason media day as you could have.
All right, we're going to leave with this very, very briefly. Just give me the one-word answer. Who do you think will win the Big East regular season championship?
Villanova.
Wow.
Omaha, Nebraska.
Creighton? We shall see. That is a perfect way to wrap up. Want to thank our producer, Scott Hecht, who has spearheaded all of our efforts here and made our brand new, beautiful set possible. Want to thank Bobby Mullen, Ben Piasek, our entire crew, Jason Dudley, Sam Rubinoff. The list goes on, and Tyreke Turner, Vin Parisi. Thank you, guys. Great to be with you. I'm John Fanta. We're 20 days away
from Big East basketball being on your screens. And stay with us, because at 12:30 Eastern Time, Big East women's basketball fast break hits you here from the Garden. So long for now from the world's most famous arena.